Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the final pre-season Black Box before the season starts. And what an episode we have for you today. We've got Mr. Luke D1 Sable in the house. And we've got a very special guest. It's Mr. FPL himself, Andrew Mears. Let's talk FPL. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. Been a while.
It has been a while. Good to chat to both of you. Good to be back on. I love helping small channels like this, you know. So that's why. As soon
Someone's
as
already
you
put that
said
in the chat. Someone's already put in the chat that we're helping, giving you a leg up. So that's all right.
Old school Scoutcast vibes.
This is it. Old school Scoutcast. Luke, we're reunited.
I know, it's good. It's great to be back. That seems so long ago. I feel like I was probably high for most of that point in my life. I don't even remember the Scoutcast anymore. In fact, I also remember Andy randomly in a pub about, I don't know how many years ago, telling me that he was going to start a YouTube channel when he had no one follow. And he sort of taught me the whole way through it. And he was trying to encourage me to do it as well. Andy, I bloody wish you twisted my arm a bit more, mate, I tell you.
I always had the vision for YouTube. Not FPL, but for YouTube.
It is funny times because I've been looking back at old Scoutcast episodes. So if anyone's watching this and wants a bit of a blast from the past, just type in Scoutcast, that episode, I don't know, like 230, 240, something like that. And that's sort of around the time I joined. Obviously, you can go back further than that and see the full John T and Mark and Granville doing like the early episodes and stuff. I mean, there's no SEO at all. It's just us talking. The descriptions are terrible. The title is just Scoutcast. I don't even mention FPL in it. I don't know how anyone found it at all. But yeah, hopefully there's some people watching tonight who enjoy those shows. It took me hours to find one with the three of us on. I think there's only one episode which was the three of us, and this is it, going back 8 years.
Jesus Christ!
Dude, this is not good viewing for me. I'm telling you.
Yeah, Andy, it's safe to say you've changed the most.
And I think Luke's probably changed the least, maybe.
Luke's had a glow up somehow in 8 years. He's like Benjamin Button.
This 8 years
it's like
ago?
he's de-aged. This is 8 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. Right, yeah, my old house. That is a Paw Patrol poster in the background there.
Nice. And Joe's got the you remember we had like the colour palette like squares on his wall?
Oh yes, yeah, I do.
Remember those?
I do.
Yeah, that is a classic.
Oh God, Shane
there
Long,
he
though.
is.
Classic.
There he is. Shane Long on the wall. Andy, do you remember this episode? This was one of my greatest ever moments in FPL. This episode I was watching back. It was when Pascal Gross got his 18 points against West Brom, I think, and I was trying really hard not to be smug.
What a player!
Yeah, it is fun going down this. But yeah, they were good times. I mean, what were some of your favourite moments from these days, Andy? I mean, you're a big superstar now, but you know you can't forget your roots.
Yeah, I won't go for the obvious ones that I think will always get mentioned, but I remember one time talking about Sergio Aguero as like a nostalgia pick, and then he went on just to absolutely smash it. I thought he was maybe at the end of his career, and then he just carried on absolutely getting FPL points every time he was fit. So, yeah, got that wrong. And obviously Jay as well, running around trying to get a charger for his laptop.
Oh my God.
That's what when you were saying earlier about the titles and stuff. Like, I know the world has changed and YouTube's changed. We've all got SEO and stuff. But like, it's kind of nice back then when you didn't have to worry about that stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
if your battery ran out, whatever, you just carry on, you know?
It was great. I mean, the Jay Agustoff stuff was my favourite episode because that was the episode when he sold Harry Kane. And he was talking about selling Harry Kane to spread the points around, and Harry Kane scored back-to-back hat-tricks. The same episode, he ran down the stairs because his charger ran out.
He's never been seen again, has he? Since that point.
Again, I know.
Are you sure he didn't fall down them stairs and we just left him at the bottom all this time?
It was honestly, it was so good. I mean, you did quite a few. You must have done more Scoutcast than me, Luke. I mean, you were doing it back from early days, right?
Maybe. I don't know. I did quite a few, yeah. I think I was actually the first out of all of us to actually go on it, but obviously wasn't as consistent as you guys because, I work shifts and stuff, so I couldn't always do it. But to be honest, like I say, I can't really remember. Like the funny things for me, or the ones that I always seem to remember coming up, is no matter what. I'm sorry, Joe, to do this to you. At some point, Joe would mention Suarez and Sturridge coming into his team, and the one time he doubled up on them, like every single episode that would go on for like 10 to 15 minutes, despite everyone in the chat also doing that, and us lot as well. And he would just refer back to it, and I'd just be sat there for like 20 minutes. Yeah.
Look at how bloody handsome Joe looks in these old ones. He looks
Why
so
are you so surprised?
suave. I'm not. I mean, now he's a sophisticated older gentleman, but here he was, dreamboat.
Ladies man.
Some of the best ones with Joe.
Tissues ready on the back. Sorry,
that's
Karen.
it. Absolutely. Now him trying to pronounce Milivojevic. There's just you could do like a highlight reel of him doing that. But yeah, good times. Good times. I miss those days. I miss just that there was no stats, there was no prep, there was nothing, was there? We used to turn up and just talk. To
be fair, that's pretty much what I've done today.
Yeah.
Don't know about you.
Actually, something. Everything looks a bit flashier, but speaking of looking flashier, big shout out to the graphic designer who has done the overhaul for BlackBox this season. If you are tuning in for the first time this pre-season, then welcome. You'll notice we've had a bit of a revamp this time out. I want to give a shout out to Trevor because obviously he's done an amazing job for us. Obviously, I've talked. You can see the proof is in the pudding. Some people say with how things look. Hopefully, you'll like it. But the guy is just great. He's just an absolutely great person to work with. And just an example of some of the things that we kind of talked about getting things ready. I mean, this is an example. So when he was thinking about the design for BlackBox, he gave me all these like concept ideas. He was like, right, we're going to start with the pitch, going to narrow it down to the box. That works with BlackBox. That's really clever. Creates the design off the back of that. And then just ends up building a whole design around the box of the penalty area, the box of BlackBox. Never would have thought of that kind of creativity and that genius. He came up with all these great concepts of like stuff we're using on Instagram now. The logo, which was a combination of the box from what I talked about a second ago, and like the bars, flip those around, you create the icon. Just everything he did was just very clever and very, very kind of logical. And before we had just about 10 different designers working on things, and they've all been great, but it's so nice to have a palette and everything which is just really clean and really nice looking. So just want to give a massive shout out to Trevor. If anyone is listening to this interested in a graphic designer for any work they're looking for, hit up trevorthompsondesigner@gmail.com and he will help you with all of your designs. What do you think of the new look, Andy? Fresh?
That's good. Looks like that's what a proper designer does, don't they? Go through all the different concepts.
It's funny that, isn't it? Not just Mark like building a load of stuff in his shed and getting a load of other guys in. So yeah, we're really happy with it. So thanks again, Trevor, and yeah, do give him a shout if you're interested. Right, we've spent a lot of time talking about players over pre-season, obviously, because it's an FPL channel. But I wanted to focus a little bit on teams this time out, which teams we're targeting. I want to have a look at pre-season, see how teams have been getting on. And then, like we always do, it's a bit of a thing we do on these final BlackBox streams. Is have a look at some lessons and some kind of BlackBox learnings from previous seasons, ideas that we need to bring into the new season. We're none of us are experts, are we? But we're veterans of the game. Andy, surely you've got some like insights for people. You haven't put anything in the chat, but I reckon you're going to blow people away, right? With some of the stuff you're going to say today.
Probably not. I'm not planning
scripted.
to anyway.
It's not scripted, so
no. I don't script my videos.
Yeah. Oh, you do your lives. You're good background noise. It's fine. Right, let's take a look at Lego Mane. Do follow Lego Mane at @LegoMane_FPL for his hop on, hop off analysis. Luke, do you like this sort of thing, don't you? When to hop on players? Anything stand out here?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I think it's great work. And fixture manager, do you remember that from back in the day? Are you a fixture manager or are you a form manager? Yeah, fixtures breed form. That was another one from Joe.
Fixtures breed form. That's it.
What do you mean back in the day? That's like a constant conversation every season still.
I suppose so, yeah. The thing is, I don't see fixtures anymore. I just see little numbers with EV next to them. I don't even look at them anymore.
Oh, no. You really have turned, haven't you? Really have turned.
No, I'm joking. I actually, well, it doesn't matter what planner you use, but I still like to look at the fixtures and the colours and try to make all your players look really beautiful, and even if it doesn't end up being that way, like plan my whole team for like 6 weeks of rotating them all and go, oh yeah, that looks fantastic. I'm sure you guys all do something similar as well, but I mean, it's just the obvious ones, right? We're only really, for now, I guess, focusing on the immediate future because so much is up in the air, going to change, and if you start planning down to like game weeks 14, 15, 16,
yeah,
you're probably wasting a little bit of time. So yeah, it's just the ones with the good runs at the beginning, aren't they? Like Aston Villa have obviously got a really good run for like a sustained period. So I think they're quite an obvious team to target, if you can. I mean, there's this whole thing you said about teams and players, but it's always specific to the players. They've got to be FPL options, and Villa have got some, luckily, but there's some teams that have got like a good run, for example, you're not really sure. Like Man City have got a good run, but have they got any options? Like a lot of people say they haven't. So
I've got 2 in my team at the moment. So
well, we might all end up there, but yeah, I guess that's really it for me. I mean, Sunderland, out of all the teams, I would suggest have probably got their best opening 3 fixtures, but does anyone want to chance that one? I'm not sure. But it could work, right? Because the fixtures are nice. I think we've had it before where promoted teams come up, they've got a big home crowd, big following, can they make an impact in the first few games? And then maybe if it goes Pete Tong later down the line, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because you've got the points there and you've picked up on them early. So I suppose maybe we could say that we're dismissing them. I don't know what you guys think about that, but again, it's what options would you even pick from them?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, these kind of things. If you take like West Ham, for example, who's got a great first game, but then 2 rough games and then a couple of decent games. But you look at someone like Everton, where they just got 4 good-looking games on the bounce. Chelsea the same, 4 good-looking on the bounce. Mm-hmm. And Villa, they've got 6 in a row, and you could argue that Newcastle at home is probably a decent fixture. Andy, fixtures form. Where do you even sit on like the model? We did a whole episode on like FPL review and all that. I mean, are you a big fan, or are you going to pretend that you don't use it, or?
No, I look at models all the time, and I think like Luke, I also interact with a lot of people that use them, so you tend to get like influenced by that as well. Like if you're in the Discord talking about Ollie Watkins, they've got a very different view than like what the majority of people will. They're not as keen on him because they think there's a slight risk to his minutes. So yeah, definitely get influenced by that, and yeah, look at them all the time.
Yeah, I mean, what any of these fixtures like standing out to you? I mean, when you're building your team, how much are you looking at things like, Jesus, sorry, I've just had a sip of this raspberry mojito, and it is the sharpest thing I've ever drunk in my life. I was not expecting that.
Someone's got like a chainsaw in the background as well. I don't know who that is.
Oh, that's me, I think. Someone. The thing is, if I shut the window, it's going to be so warm in here. Is it really bad?
It's actually someone with a chainsaw outside your house.
It's pretty bad. I had a blitzkrieg the other day in my video. So
it's stopped now, really, right? You can't. I don't know if it's a chainsaw, but there's someone doing something in a garden very close by. If it carries on, I'll shut the window, but it's too hot otherwise.
I think because you've got the green screen behind you, adds to like the sinister nature of it, because you don't really know what's happening like in the background of your,
It's like
I can tell you now, behind that green screen is a white wall. That is it. Or is it blue? No, it's white. It's white.
Oh, let's see now we just don't know. Yeah,
fixtures.
How much are you taking into account like some of these hop on hop off things? I mean, are you building your team around fixtures, or are you just going with tried and tested?
I mean, always a bit of both, right? You're looking for fixtures, and then you're trying to work out whether there's any players that are actually good from those teams, and if not, you move on to the next one, I guess. In terms of like hop off, hop on, I don't know if there's any real major fixture swings in the first 6 game weeks. Like no one that I would, unless I've forgotten someone, no one that I would start with has a point where I'm going to be massively worried about owning them for the first 6 weeks. So once they're in for game week 1, I'm probably going to be patient with them. So like the teams you've already mentioned, Aston Villa obviously good, Liverpool pretty good. It's a bit annoying that Newcastle away and Arsenal at home are part of the first 3, but overall they're solid enough to start with. So yeah, start the team, then figure out the player. One thing I'm not worried about is cover and stuff like that, which still gets mentioned. Like, if I don't go for Salah, do I have to have another Liverpool attacker? And there might be some good attackers, but you don't have to have them. Same as if I don't have Haaland from Man City, even though their fixtures are great, it doesn't mean I feel like there's a need that I have to have a different Man City attacker, even though Marmoush could be great, Reinders could be good.
I mean, we're going to be talking about Liverpool quite a bit, but I mean, looking at those first sort of 7 games for Liverpool, they aren't great. I mean, I wonder if it wasn't Bournemouth at home in the first game, say it was that Newcastle or that Arsenal game, and Bournemouth was sort of in between, I wonder if we're going to we'd see so much of Salah. But I mean, he was poor in the Community Shield. I mean, are we banking? Are we worrying too much about that? But also, Bournemouth now just signed their other centre back to PSG for like what 60. I know they've got a replacement in, but Lou, what kind of stock do you put in pre-season things? We're going to be talking about pre-season quite a bit, so. You don't. In fact, I know
you don't want to come to me then, because I'm going to rain on your praise.
You don't care. You don't care, do you? Don't care. Do you not look at it at all?
No, I definitely look at it because I'm sad. So I'll have it up on my phone. I'll be looking on everything. I'm speaking to people. Check the results of friendlies every single day. So yeah, I definitely look at it, and I don't think it's got no value for us predicting. I just don't take too much stock on they play like 3 or 4 games, and it's most of the time. I mean, the manager and the teams tell you it's to try and build fitness, isn't it? To give minutes in legs more than anything else. So don't get me wrong. Like, I prefer the players are looking sharp. You know, they're scoring goals, they're assisting. And think, oh, okay, maybe that can continue. Maybe they're in a good space physically. But beyond that, probably not too much. I mean, some of the tactical things you can maybe pick up on, but a lot of the time I don't know whether they then continue when the season starts. You know, when some of the big names start integrated back or whatever. So it is a tricky balance, I think. Yeah,
because I actually think it's been a very telling pre-season. I think there's a lot of names being mentioned that have had good pre-seasons that we would not in a million years have been considering. Andy, come on, you're going to be a bit more enthusiastic about pre-season, right? You build your whole team around Wilson from Fulham.
Yeah, no, I mean, Wilson was funny, like all the hype around him. No one's actually going to start with him. I can't say that it doesn't have any effect on players. I'm sure it maybe does a bit. Like, if you're scoring, you're scoring. That's obviously good for confidence and stuff. But whether it really means you're going to go and score more goals or get more assists at the start of the season, I'm not sure. Like, does Watkins getting 5 in 5 make him better? Like, when the game came out, everyone thought Watkins is good. So is he now better because he scored 5 out of 5? I don't think so. And also, people are just very picky with how they use pre-season form. Like, Salah had 0 returns in the first 4 games, yet he was in everyone's draft.
Yeah.
Whereas other players had scored loads and they were in. So it's okay to have pre-season form for these players, but for Salah it doesn't matter. Like, that's why I just don't pay too much attention to it. And I find it funny that there's all this worry about him now because of the Crystal Palace game. I'll be honest, I didn't watch it. I only saw a few of the highlights, but you know, we've got 8 seasons of Salah being pretty good at football. Does one game against Crystal Palace mean, you know, and it might be that Salah's no good to start. There's a lot of new players in that Liverpool team. You know, it's not like they've just signed 1 or 2. You know, Ekitike, Wirtz, Kirkes, Frimpong, that's 4 new players. I think Gravenberch is not available for game week 1 either. So, like, it's quite an overhaul, but it's Salah, right? He's like one of the best players in the world. Slot's going to find a way to get him scoring and assisting. So, yeah, I'm like Luke, to be honest with you, for pre-season. I think more.
Sorry, I was going to say, have you considered no Salah at all?
Not really. I mean, I spend a lot of time on FPL, as you can imagine, like I'm sure you guys do. So I've looked at Haaland only drafts and no Salah, no Haaland. But in terms of like official teams that I think I'd actually going to go with, like latest drafts or whatever, not once has Salah left, to be honest with you. And I think it's partly just because of the price difference between Salah and Haaland. It's just not big enough for me to do it.
Yeah. I mean, the 2 good questions in the chat. Actually, one we just had, which was about the goal share, right? I mean, there's been great players playing alongside Salah in terms, you know, Mane's, Firmino's, Diaz last season. If Isak signs, which I don't know what's going on there.
He signed him.
You think he's gone?
I just think it's such a big deal, like in terms of the money for Liverpool, and Newcastle are struggling to get forwards, and it's going to take maybe till the end of the window. But I think it will happen. I've got very few doubts about that. If it doesn't happen, what a mess Isak and Newcastle are in right now.
I know. I mean, are you worried at all, Luke, about Salah with Isak joining? Because then you have got a lot of players, right, potentially sharing goal. Is Salah gonna be? We say this every year. I'm sick of listening to myself saying this, not starting with him and getting absolutely ruined in the first 7 weeks. Happened every year for the last 4 years. But Isak, Ekitike, Salah, Wirtz, we've not seen a 4 like that for a while.
I don't know. He's played with some bloody good players over the years as well. Suarez, for example. Has he played with Suarez? Or I just made that up? They didn't cross over.
But Mane and Firmino, right?
Can you edit that? Yeah, Firmino and Mane. Of course, yeah. Suddenly correcting myself.
He's got Joel on the brain. You think about Sturridge and Suarez.
Yeah. No, he's played with some really good players. For me, it's more like, given he broke the record last year, that even for Salah was a high roll, right? Low roll, high roll. So regardless of who joins, does anyone think that he'll get the same or beat it again? I think that would be even more incredible. Like, I think
he won't get anywhere near, I don't think.
Well, there you go. So if we were to put money on right now and say, will he get less points than that? I think most people would say he'll get less anyway. I don't think anyone's saying it's going to happen again. But like you say, we've got 8 seasons worth of data. Players don't change their stripes that much. This is the player profile that Salah is. On top of that, he's a machine. Like, you look at the likes of Messi and Ronaldo, they don't come along very often. The guy just plays every game. He plays the minutes, he gets goals, even from his position. Like, Messi and Ronaldo over the years will have had a season where they've had slightly less, and they've had a season like Messi scored like 70 goals one season, didn't he, or something stupid across all competitions. Like, Salah's probably had his high roll, but he's still going to be a good pick, isn't he? Almost certainly be a good pick. Like, I know we'll have AFCON and stuff as well, so I think, Andy, that probably fed into a decision as why he's not going to get as many points. Like, we can guarantee he's going to miss like 5 or 6 games or whatever it is as well, so that's going to be hard to achieve. But that doesn't really necessarily reflect on Haaland, by the way. We're just talking about Salah, right? Haaland could also be a high roll, fantastic, score a lot more points than Salah. That could easily happen. I don't think any of us doubt that. It's just, at the beginning of the season, midfielders, the price difference, like Andy said, they're just better overall, I think, and he's probably the better captain, I think, in a few games. But I don't think it's like a miles apart. I think you could easily pick a Haaland team instead and say, I think Salah's going to low roll this season. You know, I'm not happy with the way he's playing. I'm happy to have Haaland and go for it. And I did this last year, and it worked at the beginning. It worked really well because Haaland was banging loads of goals, and although Salah was doing all right.
You must have been so smug, so proud of yourself. I was.
Yeah, and then come game week 6 or whatever it was, carried on with Haaland. Everyone else either switched to Salah or quickly moved after like a few weeks, and I was left in the wake. So that's not going to have any, it doesn't have any bearing this time. I just think that for me personally, it's easier to go Salah to start with, and if anyone else wants to do the Haaland thing instead of Salah, especially given the dearth of forwards, I don't think it's a terrible option by any means. I think it's close enough for it to be an okay strategy.
Yeah. I think one thing, we're also going to talk about Liverpool in a bit, but I think one thing the Community Shield did worry a few people about, Andy, is defensively, right? Because Van Dijk was in almost every team I've seen this pre-season, and now he's just barely featuring in any. Do you think like the amount of changes is putting people off there? I mean, they looked ropey, didn't they, at the back? Getting carved open over and over again.
See, I don't buy into that really. I think Van Dijk had started to move out of teams just because people had realised after the models and stuff had come out with DEFCONs that a lot of these defenders could get close to Van Dijk in the early period, and therefore you could save the 0.5. Because Liverpool's fixtures aren't all that to start, I would suggest. So I think that's part of it. But also, I don't think we can look too much into that. I mean, yes, they've got new players and stuff, but first game of the season, and Palace are bloody good. They are such a good team. Like, I think they'll score
don't
against
start
most
your fanboying.
I'm going to start
Palace.
it up again.
Oh my
Did
God.
anyone think Liverpool would get a clean sheet? I don't think it was. I mean, I didn't look at the markets as to what it was, but I don't think that was particularly on the cards. And Van Dijk's not suddenly bad, is he? He's still going to be a great option, I think.
Yep. Thanks for interrupting Andy there, Luke.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
He had a better answer than me anyway. The thing is, if I think about the team they've got now, like, I don't think we can say that left back they're in a worse position defensively, right? I think Robertson is past his prime. I think everyone agrees on that. So Kirkus coming in does not make them weaker, I would say. Frimpong I don't think is the greatest defensively, but I mean, look at all the comments about Trent over the years. It's not like he was rock solid right back. They've still got the same centre back partnership, and as soon as Gravenberch is back in the team, there's not actually that much difference defensively, I don't think. And then from the front, you've still got Salah. I don't know what Ekitike is like as in terms of pressing and stuff. He may be worse than what they've had before.
If you'd seen the final, you would have been impressed with him. He looked a hell of a
player. And Bertz is great as well. So I'm not really bothered about their defence. It's just like Luke said, when you start... The problem is, I find this happens every pre-season. You have to go through the big at the back stage and get past that so you can start taking money out of your defence and putting it in your attack. I feel like it happens every single year. But if I could find 0.5 million, I'd upgrade one of my 5.5s back to Van Dijk, I think. I still think he's the best option. Yeah,
I mean, Andy and I did the video a few weeks ago and we put him in S tier, and now he's not even in my side that we're going to show a bit later. I don't know, I started to have some... when I looked a bit more into the fixtures, I started thinking a bit more about that back line, and but it is difficult because the Community Shield, I think, does have more of an impact on us than many of us would like to admit. This is why, like you were saying last week, Luke, the models are good, right? Because they pretty much unchanged after that final. But when you're watching it and you're seeing some of these players, Frimpong is going to be creeping into a lot more teams after the performance he had. Salah's probably going to be dropped by a few. Ekitike will definitely come into the reckoning. And I think Palace players genuinely will. Like you mentioned about Sarr, you did that great video talking about Sarr's prospects, and then what you didn't want was for him to go and score a goal and an assist. But then you haven't got him in your own team anyway, so I guess it made absolutely no difference.
Not yet.
Well, maybe will. But we did get one piece of important information in that game, didn't we? I think out of all the information, we got some information that people could argue whether it was important or not, but one pretty important bit, which was the Mateta penalty, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of swayed a lot of people, because I know we had the manager come out before and say that they were going to share him after Mateta randomly sort of almost looked to bully Eze and take a penalty, it looked like, and then he obviously scored it. And I think after that, Eze took virtually every one. So I don't know whether I thought personally maybe they're sharing, because a lot of teams do that, or maybe it was just a cover for the fact Mateta took it on that day. Eze seems fine on them, and then obviously Mateta steps up again. Now we've got that information that either he's first on penalties or at least they're sharing him, which, you know, he did say that to begin with. So I wouldn't be surprised that Eze maybe takes another one if he's still there, of course, at some point.
Yep.
But it's more information, isn't it? It's new information. That's just out of one game. So yeah, I think there was something that changed, and it has had an effect on the models as well as a result.
Mr. T saying remembers Haaland's debut and he missed the sitter.
Oh yeah, and it's Community Shield, and everyone and people went Kane that year, right?
Yep.
But the thing, I do think the Community Shield is seen slightly like as more important, but I think that's because it's a very competitive pre-season friendly, isn't it? You know, it's going to be pretty much the full strength team. That's how they're going to line up, and so there is a bit more information maybe to gather from that than other pre-season friendlies. And I agree on Mateta, and yeah, Ekatike looks great, but you just can't. Well, we'll talk about Liverpool later. I'll give my opinion then.
Yep. Let's take a look at pre-season. So head over to Fantasy Football Scout. Neil is writing some Neil, Tom, and everyone, the whole editorial team is writing some amazing articles on pre-season. This is where I nabbed all of these stats and did some Google searching for results. You can put as much stock into pre-season as you want, but I think it is still interesting to see how teams are getting on, which players are emerging, and like I said, we've always seen pre-season bandwagons emerge. We've had Ben Rama in the past. We've had Amir Zaki. Andy, any other pre-season bandwagons? Must have been loads.
There's another Wigan forward, isn't there? Was it Baselli? One of the Wigan forwards years and years ago.
Zaki was all right, wasn't he? And Baselli was awful.
20 goals or something. Baselli
was somebody in pre-season for Wigan got like 6 or 7 goals. We all went for him because he was cheap, and they did nothing all season, which is like part of the reason I just can't get behind the pre-season high.
Mario Baselli. Definitely.
Yeah, you'll find loads of examples where someone's done really well in pre-season and carried it on, but there's a ton of examples the opposite way.
Let us know in the chat your favourite pre-season bandwagons and how they got on, because I'm sure there's loads, but yeah, I think there's some interesting ones that have emerged, and there's one which I think is has all the signs of being a massive fail, but he's probably going to end up in my team.
I can remember one season where I think it was the Michu season. Remember Michu? He was just like a potentially good option anyway, and then was it Johan Elmander or someone like that? Or some
Elmander was class,
I don't know if it was him though. I'm not sure it was him. It was a Fulham striker anyway, but basically scored a hat-trick or got a brace on day one. The same time Michu went crazy as well, and I had both in my team, and I was like, yes, this is when I was like banging to pre-season, and then thought it would really work, but yeah. So sometimes it can work.
A few people are mentioning Barco in the chat. I don't really remember.
I don't remember anyone mentioning him.
No, I don't really remember maybe that one. Yeah, so you have to do a bit better than that. Sorry, everyone. Right, let's take a look. I've kind of grouped these as, Ben Rama was the one that I remember, because I remember a lot of people started him and I was like, no, I'm not going there. And then he absolutely smashed it the first few weeks of the season. Lundstrom as well was playing central midfield, wasn't he, in pre-season? I think that's why quite a few people went for him, and obviously he did really well. Quansa, the 4-5.
I got PTSD from that, honestly.
Wasn't he the one that you could buy in the app, but then you couldn't buy on the desktop version? Do you remember that?
Yeah, there's been a few of them over the years.
Was
the
him?
Real cheap ones, usually the 4 million players, just don't show up.
He was 4-3, I think, but you could only get him in the app because he'd been deleted from the desktop version. That was a bit of a game break. You have to sort that out, Mark. All right, I've tried to group these pre-season games as best I could, just give us a few talking points. I was going to do it one by one, but it seemed a bit excessive. I thought I'd start with the 2 front runners, right, for the title. I mean, you can put Chelsea in there, you can put Man City in there, but I think Arsenal, Liverpool probably still are the 2 main contenders for the league. Looking at Arsenal's pre-season, they've won 3, they've lost 2. Looking at Liverpool, they've won 5, drawn 1, which was Community Shield, and lost 1. Just a few notes that I had. I mean, Gyökeres scored his first goal, interestingly, in that game against Athletic, but Havertz also scored in that game because there's some, not rumours, but some concerns that he might favour Havertz in that first game. Liverpool have had a crazy pre-season. They've scored loads of goals. They've only kept 1 clean sheet versus Stoke. Stoke seem to have played absolutely everyone, by the way, in the Premier League. I've never seen anything like it. Every team I go through, it's like, oh yeah, we played Stoke, we lost 1-0 or we drew 0-0. I don't know how many games they've played, but it seems like they've been playing like forever. Salah's missed 2 pens pre-season as well. Luke, you talked about that last week, his penalty record. And Gakpo has 4 goals across the 7 games. And I'll come to you first. Gyökeres, I had him in my team for a bit, but I'm a little bit concerned he's probably not going to play that first game.
See, I've gone the opposite. This is the stuff I like from pre-season. So I was not pretty sure, but I was confident enough that there was a good chance that Havertz could start in game week 1, because I think people underestimate how much Arteta likes him. But then Havertz got injured and missed a game, which meant Gyökeres started. Maybe he would have started that anyway, but it meant he pretty much had to. And then obviously he started the next game because Havertz was on the bench after just coming back from that very minor injury. So the fact that he's now played and started the last 2, I'm a bit more confident that he might start game week 1. So my confidence in him has gone up, but not enough to pick him. I just think for that money I would just go Watkins. The fixtures are just better. That's
what I was about to say. I mean, if you look at Lego Man, I mean, there's only 3 green in the next 7. They play Man United away, Liverpool away. They play Man City. They play Newcastle. They've got Forest in game week 4. Leeds in game week 2 obviously looks great, but in terms of other points potential, I don't think you're going to see much until game week 7.
Yeah, if you were going super aggressive, for 4 weeks when they've got Leeds at home in 2 and Forest at home in 4, then maybe. But when you just add it up for the first 6, and there is still a slight doubt about, that starting game week 1. But if I was predicting, I think I'd have him in the 11 now.
Yeah.
So my confidence has gone up a bit.
Look, I found Arsenal a bit boring to write notes on this season. It looks like they've just sort of gone through the motions. Gabriel's now back. Saka gave up a pen to Odegaard, I think, at one point. Nothing's really changed there. I think probably the two big signings are Gyökeres and Zubimendi had a very, very good last game. Where you're at with Arsenal, I'm guessing there's none featuring in your side at the moment.
No, not at the moment, but Gabriel from game week 7's probably a lock, regardless of the fact he doesn't get DEFCONs. I just think he's one of the best picks in the game and probably will remain it. Saka's looked really good as well, and he's one of my favourite players, so I'm sure that he'll find his way into my team at some point, maybe from 7 onwards or whatever. It'll be hard to try and fit him in if you're keeping some of the other big guns, but see what we can do. I still really like Arsenal. I actually think that Havertz and Gyökeres might play together in some games. I think Arteta's even come out and said that already, just because, like Andy says, I just think he does love him, and he is a versatile player. We've seen him play in lots of different positions. I think maybe a lot of that may hinge on whether they manage to sign Eze or a left-sided player, because maybe Havertz plays off the left slightly or something in some of the games. I don't think it'll be in all the games, but for example, home to Leeds, if they were to sit in or something, then it might make more sense to have him rather than Martinelli in a game like that. So I do think that it will happen, but right at the beginning, you just don't need to be the first there for Gyökeres, do you? I think that even if he is going to start, I don't think he's quite probably fit enough to be hitting those 90 minutes. Like Andy's going to say, they're going to rotate a bit maybe to start, and then we see where we are. So it's just because of the fixtures, it's perfect. You just wait till 7, you get the information. You don't have to be the first person there. You can get there later.
Yeah, the fitness thing with him as well is a slight worry. Now, you can go and fact check me on this, but I think I saw something that he didn't train for 2 months after Sporting won the title. Then he signed. He was off the bench for 1 game and started 2. Got 60 minutes in each, I think. So I think the idea that he's going to come in and play 90 every week is super slim for the first. Yeah. Probably not until after the international break, I would say. I
think it's the perfect thing what you both said and what Luke said. You haven't got to be the first on Gyökeres. You can wait. I know his ownership is probably about 20%, 22%, something like that. But I think there's more chance that he has a relatively slow start than maybe we've seen from other internationals. Like Mahomey says, though, the danger is in game week 2 against Leeds. Like if you see him in that starting lineup in that match, he's arguably the best captain, I'd say, an Arsenal player in that week. We've all got to hope that Arsenal get off to a relatively slow start with those fixtures. Andy, you mentioned talking a bit more about Liverpool. I think we've covered the clean sheet. We've covered Salah, but Gakpo 4 in 7. It's not bad. I'm seeing him in a few sides.
Yeah, this is the kind of pick I wish I could go for, but I'm just so boring these days. The problem for me with Gakpo is I just don't believe they're not going to sign anyone. They've got no cover for that left side. I just don't believe they're going to go into the season. Lots of people are mentioning the Rio kid that's 16. I just don't think he's going to get enough minutes in the Premier League to be covered. It doesn't matter how good he is. He's probably one for the future. And then when you look at the fixtures, which we already mentioned, it's Newcastle away, Arsenal at home. So if you get the first 3 and then he becomes a problem from 4 onwards, you've held him for 2 of the worst fixtures from the first 6, and then the doubts creep in as soon as he hits Burnley away. Now, for what it's worth, he probably will just start that Burnley game as well. But for 7.5 is not expensive, but I feel like I just want more certainty than that. So he does worry me because I think his ownership will creep up over the next few days. And I think he is a genuinely pretty good punt. He's just not the kind of player that I'm willing to bet on in game week 1, I don't think.
It is, isn't it? Look, I mean, reduced in price, down to 7.5, reclassified as a mid.
This
loses his main.
Diaz. It stinks of Luis Diaz last season.
Yeah, he did all right, didn't he?
Well, exactly. That's the point I'm getting at. It's pretty much the same situation. The mid, wasn't he 7.5 as well? Where we all go, nah, he's probably a rotation risk.
Yep.
And then he started on fire. So I could easily see it that he does, but if he's going to start getting subbed at 70, and eventually Diaz ended up being a bit of a problem, and that's probably the more likely situation. So I'd rather just err on the side of caution. I mean, I think Wirtz can also play there. Like, he might not be stationed on the left, but I think he can come off of the left because they've still got like Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch. Like, they've got other players that are going to play as well, right? So I don't think they're just, Szoboszlai is just going to get completely dropped. It's going to be chop and change on opponent. I think Slot kind of always wanted to do that. He always has tactical plans for the opponent. So, the more tools he's got, the better. So there's that. Plus what Andy says, maybe they'll sign someone as well. So I don't know. I think he's an okay punt though. I think as far as punts go, I think he's probably up there, like on the just on the periphery of like maybe.
Yep.
If the fixtures were slightly flipped, like if it was Bournemouth at home, Burnley away, Everton at home, then the Newcastle Arsenal games, I could probably talk myself into it and just see him as a transfer in game week 4. But nah, Newcastle and Arsenal, I'm going to skip it.
Yep. Oh, we've got some big news in the chat. Apparently the FPL site is not working. So I've just gone to try it and it's not. So
it hasn't worked for most of pre-season properly, has it?
Don't panic. I'm sure Mark is getting some calls. It should be good. Let's take a look at the next two then. Let's look at Chelsea and Man City. These are the teams that have played the fewest pre-season games, or arguably the Chelsea played the most pre-season games, depending on how you want to look at it. But obviously they had the Club World Cup. Chelsea have played 2 games pre-season. They've looked very good in both of those. They have also won the Club World Cup. Can't do much better than that. Pedro has 5 in 5 since he signed. Cucurella, 6 million. Every time I say his name, I think of that song. But play very attacking. Look good in that. And Estavio has looked absolutely unreal, both in the Club World Cup and when he signed. 2, he's been taking set pieces, really direct. Probably not going to start the season, but I think he's definitely one to watch. And there's not much we can really say about Man City because they've only played the 1 pre-season game. They've had a big old break. But your boy Reinders, Luke, we were talking last week and Andy said to you, what does he need to do? And you said, no, nothing. It won't change my mind. And I think he took that to heart. Scored 2 goals and looked absolutely unreal. 4 shots he had in just the 45 minutes he played.
Yeah, good old Palermo with 10 men. They are a force to be reckoned with, aren't they? No, he did look great, didn't he? Coming back to just the pre-season for Man City and Chelsea, it's not ideal, but we've seen this a lot, haven't we? Like, this is what pre-season is for a lot of the big teams these days. I know, like, Club World Cup's probably amplified it a bit, but it's all like a PR stunt these days. I don't think it's any good for the players. They travel around the world. They don't get the best of game time. Half the time it's interrupted by international tournaments. So I guess you could say, if anything, that a lot of them are used to it. Like, they're used to not having much of a pre-season, and maybe that works in their favour. Maybe they're able to just get back into gear. Also, I think, we don't really know what goes on at these training grounds, right? I know that ideally we'd like to have competitive matches to build it up their stamina and to show that they're in the right place and everything else. And we know that because the managers say there's nothing else better than that sort of competition. But the amount of players Man City and Chelsea have got, I think they could have a pretty good 11v11 in their training ground if they wanted to.
Yeah, they should. Just bin off these pre-season games, just play each other. Yeah.
They probably have about 4 teams each. So I'm sure that, and they've got the top facilities, they've got the top coaches, they've got everything. So yes, they might be a little bit behind, but how quickly will they get up to speed? Probably not too long. Like, sports science is at the absolute peak it's ever been, isn't it? I mean, it's not like Letizia days and people like that. They've just got like a cigarette on the go when they turn up to training and everything else. I think they'll be, it might take 1 or 2 games, but I think they'll be there or thereabouts pretty damn quickly.
Yep. Andy, any concerns about minutes in the legs for these teams? Been a bit of a break now.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea's interesting. It's only like 3 or 4 weeks and since that final. So, I mean, how much fitness does a professional footballer lose in that time? I don't know. I'm not concerned enough to dodge their players. Put it that way.
How Have you got any? Have you got any Chelsea? I mean, apart from Palmer, you got any Chelsea
no.
City players?
But
I knew you were going to say that.
They could have played 6 pre-season games and it wouldn't change my mind. I mean, Cucurella is interesting, of course. I think 6 million. You know, he does get into attacking positions. The fixtures are good. João Pedro, I don't know if I'm just massively wrong on him or not about how good of a pick he is. Like the ownership just confused me. I just don't think he's that good, but I still think he's a good pick. And then Man City, I struggle with Man City these days because I just cannot be bothered for them to be benched. Because as soon as they get benched, I'm on to Luca. They're going to start the next game. I'm waiting for the team sheet to come out, and you get trapped because you have to keep them for the next game in case they start, and then they don't start again. And it's like, oh well, surely next week. They can't go 3 weeks without starting, and I just don't think that. I mean, Reinders could be amazing versus Anderson. He's certainly a bit more exciting. Marmoush could definitely be better than Wirtz. Like his goal threat is going to be higher. But are they good enough to just bother with that headache? It just does my head in. Honestly, Haaland's the only one I trust to start every game, and I don't want him either. So I'm dodging them because of those reasons, not because of their lack of pre-season games.
See, I get got way more by pre-season, I think, than you two. It's probably be the bane. It's probably why I always get a bad start at FPL. But I mean, I've seen the highlights of that Man City game, and Reinders look absolutely ridiculous. Cherky looked incredible as well.
But they both played in the same position, right?
Yeah, well, this is it. They both play in the same position, but also there's Marmoush there as well. You know, if there's a Doku or someone on the left that wants to play. So I had Marmoush in before that. Marmoush had a really quiet game. Cherky played really well. Reinders played really well. I don't know, like
Foden's only slightly out. He can play.
Yeah, Foden's only. I know. I'm tilting the other way. I'm thinking maybe I need more players just in case one of them drops out. Because I want to tap into at least one of the Man City players. I'm not sure that is the best approach to it, but yeah, at the moment I've got 2 in. There's just so much upside with them, isn't it? I mean, you mentioned Reinders over Anderson. I don't think I can bring myself to pick Anderson over Reinders, and that is my downfall.
I completely get that. Anderson is such a boring pick.
Can't do it.
But like he will get a lot of defensive contributions, won't he?
I think with Reinders, like the thing, if you look at his career, he's something like, if I remember, 0.3 for returns per 90. So basically, you'll get a goal or assist roughly every 3 games is what he got. Now, that was pretty much playing as like one of the main pieces in the Milan team, and now he's come to probably a stronger league with more competition. So we've got a lot of unknowns there as well, haven't we? You could argue that they're going to be more ball dominant, they're going to be better, that's going to go up. You know, his role might change and he might be even more of a threat. But like we said before, players don't often change their stripes too much. I mean, everyone knows what Reinders is about already, I think, don't they? He's basically the Gundogan replacement. Like, if you go on FBref and you look at players that are like Reinders, Gundogan right at the top there. And how did Pep use Gundogan? He's used him differently throughout the different seasons is the answer, isn't he? But there's the one season that sticks out where he was basically like the shadow 10 and he scored loads and loads of goals. So if Reinders is going to do that, there's no way he won't be great value at 5.5, right? He's going to score too many goals for that price. But he'd have to kind of change his profile. Like I said, he's only really scores 1 in 3. So it's kind of has to make it that it happens a little bit more than that. If he's only getting 1 assist every 3, when you've got someone like Anderson, who's probably picking up 3-4 points every single game, you know, there's going to be games that Reinders just gets 2 because he's not going to get the DEFCONs, is he? It doesn't look like he is again, unless something changes. It looks like that's not his game at all. So you kind of need him to score and assist quite a lot for him to be worth it, which he could do, but we don't know yet.
I thought I saw something where Pep got asked about his position, like central midfield, and he kind of said that he sees him more playing further up. But Pep says lots of stuff, doesn't he?
Well, that's the problem. That's his best position, yeah.
Yeah, but then I find that in some ways more of a problem if he sees him as like a number. Like when he says that, a number 10, great, that sounds amazing, 5.5 million for Man City. But then there's more players that can play in that position. Yeah, like Cherky, like Foden, and you know he could even play Marmoush a bit more centrally, I guess, if he wanted to, as like Alvarez did that season.
I think Haaland. What he has in mind is to be that he is actually an 8, but then he just crashes the box late. Like that's what he would like, and always have that dual setup. And they have had that a lot of times. But in the past, that kind of relied on Rodri to be like in peak condition, to be able to like dominate that space, and then he can have almost those 2 attacking midfielders that can almost do what they want because Rodri's that good. And you just wonder at the beginning of the season, especially if Rodri's not.
You don't think
not
Gundogan can do that, Luke?
Not anymore, unfortunately. And then there's Bernardo Silva. Like Bernardo Silva is literally like his go-to guy. You know, Bernardo Silva, I think he didn't get subbed once last season. 90 minutes per start. He's the top midfielder for minutes per start.
That's insane. I would never have guessed that.
Yeah, exactly.
Good stat.
And I know there was a lot of right wing shenanigans that goes in with Pep, but again, it's just crazy stuff that he does. But Bernardo Silva, like they've got so many different options. With no Rodri, it just makes me think: does he want to shore up that middle as much as possible? Right? He doesn't really seem to trust Gonzalez. You know, I don't think Kovacic is injured again. You know, he's got O'Reilly, who looks like he's a good player, but he doesn't seem to trust him in defensive midfield most of the time. Prefers him at the left back. So he's going to have to come up with a solution to make it a little bit more solid, and that probably involves Reinders a bit deeper to start with, right? Which might be fine because he might do that box crashing thing, but it doesn't look like he's going to get the DEFCONs. So at the moment, when I'm weighing it up, I think, do I start with Anderson, see what's happening, and then move to him? Because you don't have to be the first one there, do you? But
it's fun. It's fun to be though, isn't it?
It could be fun, but points are fun.
This is what Pep said about Reinders, which I liked. We know he's a special player arriving into the box. He loves to do that. People in Italy know him perfectly. He scored 2 goals and he made a fantastic performance. He can play as a holding midfielder, but he loves to arrive in the box to help out our strikers like Erling Haaland and Omar Mamouche and anyone who plays there. We're really pleased with him. I mean, he's definitely not playing Gameweek 1, is he? After that, that is the Pep
This
kiss
is
of
the
death.
problem. You're never fully you're never fully sure. There was a time at some point last season where Savinho was looking good and he'd started 7 games in a row. People bought him in, then he got benched. Like it just happens. And I feel like you've got to be like you need to know what type of FPL manager you are. And there are so many people that talk about upside, but as soon as they get benched, they get so frustrated. That kind of person should not buy Man City players, in my opinion.
Yep.
You need to be someone like FPL Rhinos on Twitter who'll go all in for that upside, and if it doesn't work out, they brush it off, and that's it.
Yep.
That's my opinion on City players.
Good. Well, you've really taught me to Reinders today, lads. Cheers.
Marmouche is the one, I reckon.
I can. Are you doing another section on it later, as or not? Because I sent you them graphics, or have we binned those off? Because I can say
What, for the Bundesliga?
For Reinders versus Anderson.
Did you send me a graphic for Reinders v Anderson?
I did, but don't worry about it.
We're
talking about it now, so it's all good. I was just going to say, like, to make you feel better, if you go on,
that for you, Luke.
You can go on your model of choice, but I use Review because it's just the one I'm more comfortable with. If you bump Reinders' minutes to anything close to what Anderson's are, he is the preferred choice. His expected points is above that of Anderson. So
I was going to say you'll be proud of me because I actually went and had a look at Anderson v Reinders on Review, and they were close enough to make me think it was okay. So and then I thought with the minutes, yeah.
Well, this is the thing. So if you get the minutes right, and he does, I mean, if he starts, I don't think he's likely to be a player that's subbed off that often, right? I think if you start, you're looking at 80 to 90, really, aren't you? Probably 90, I would suggest, but whatever. Then he suddenly becomes above Anderson as a pick. But that's going to have some of that data backed up from Milan, right? Because it's using the data of where he was playing in that team and how much he was affecting goals. If he's playing as a 6 or an 8 in the Man City team, you know, is he going to score enough goals to be worth it? Again,
good point from Trini here. And I did actually have a draft with Reinders and Anderson both in.
Yeah, they're both good options.
Yeah.
In fact, on Review, if you were to go and sort midfielders by value, so points per million, I think those are 2 of the top 5 midfielders in the game. So they're both exceptional value. So if that's what you want to do, I'm always questioning whether you should put value in midfield because it's probably the most powerful position. But they are definitely 2 good picks, it looks like, as long as you get the minutes. The thing with the Reinders one, just one more thing to mention, is like, that looks really good. But let's say he gets benched v Burnley, the game before the Champions League. That's the best game probably out of all the games they've got to begin with. And suddenly you lose a lot of value there, don't you?
Yep.
So that's the worry with it. It's fine having him, but if he's going to just throw a random bench in there, then suddenly, again, Anderson just wins, doesn't he? So it's
playing deeper against the hard sides, but not good enough to reach the DEFCON, and then getting benched in the good games.
Which is possible. All these scenarios are possible, right? And so's the scenario where he bangs 1 or 2 goals in the opening 3 weeks. So,
just to make an argument for the boring pick as well, Anderson, we shouldn't talk about him like he's only a defensive player. Like, he's not a Caicedo, so he is going to get some attacking returns as well. Probably not as many as Reinders, but you've got that every now and then. Plus, you've got pretty consistent defensive contributions, unless his minutes are going to go down this year. But I don't really see that happening.
Oh God, yeah, Mahrez, Vegeta sounds like the Pep Mahrez praise, and we didn't see him for months. Oh, you might be hearing my dog behind me. He's dreaming and twitching. So if you hear some weird dog sounds, then that's him. Split opinions on Ryan. Just let us know what you think of him versus Anderson. As Andy said, let us know what kind of manager you are. Just want to give a shout. We've got 1,200 people watching live at the moment. So that is absolutely incredible. I'm going to give a plug to the Instagram because Andy, not you Andy, the other Andy, won't forgive me if I don't. We've got some stuff going out on Instagram all the time. You might not be massively into Instagram, but give us a follow over there. Luke will be doing his weekly video, which will be exclusive to Instagram. We'll be posting like BlackBox graphics and stuff like that, and there's a link in the description too. And give Andy Mears, Let's Talk FPL, a follow if you don't already, but I'm sure you're probably already one of his 300 million subscribers. Probably don't need to worry about too much about that. Let's have a look at Forest Brentford then next. Forest, I think, have had the most interesting pre-season I think I've ever seen from any teams. They have 1-0, they have drawn 5, and they have lost 2. They have scored 1 goal across 7 games and have kept 5 clean sheets. And if anyone's been listening to the Planet FPL Correspondence Week with James and all the correspondents, like unmissable content. If we're talking about teams, but those guys go into so much more depth than we do. But Mark was the Forest correspondent, and he was talking about Forest, and he was just down. I mean, he's always a bit down on Forest, but he was saying without Elanga, they just have not got a clue like what they're doing. And I listened to that, and Chris Wood left my team. I know we don't put much stock in pre-season, if that's kind of what we're going with, but Luke, surely 1 goal in 7 games.
The thing is,
it's got to be a concern.
If I'd have not seen the pre-season or didn't know anything about it, and you asked me, you said to me, what do you think Forest did in their games in pre-season? I bet I would have guessed they barely scored a goal and they tried to get 0-0s and they hoped Wood would score from his 1 shot, because that's what happened last season. So maybe it was just this time that 1 shot didn't go in for Wood. No, losing Elanga's he was a big piece of how they play. Definitely using on the counter, using on the break. I don't know what teams they've played in pre-season, by the way, but
I'll tell you. I've got it up here. They've drawn 0-0 with Chesterfield. They've drawn 0-0 with Monaco. They've lost 3-1 to Fulham. They've drawn with a team I've never even heard of called Estoril Praia. They've lost 1-0 to Birmingham. They've drawn 0-0 with Florentina, and they've drawn 0-0 with a team from the Middle East.
Okay, so we know as well Forest's style is to basically not be the team that's ball dominant, right? I think a lot of those teams they're asked to be the better team, aren't they, as well, which is probably a bit of counter to the style they'll actually play. So I don't know. I don't think there's too much to read into that. I think there'll be, like I said, players don't change their stripes too much. I don't think teams, especially when they've got basically the same players, they might as well change one, the same manager, who we've known, that manager profile, that is his game for multiple teams now. I think we all know what's going to happen. They're going to try and set up in the same way, aren't they? They're going to try and keep clean sheets, and they'll try and nick a goal. I'd be surprised if it's any different. So I don't think the pre-season tells us too much, to be honest.
They didn't play Stoke, Joey. No, I realise that's ruined my earlier point, but no. And any concerns over? I mean, there's no concerns over the defence, right? Some people are doubled up, tripled up. I think the majority of people have got at least one of Sells, Murillo, Williams, or whoever. But I mean, surely it bodes well for that at least.
Yeah, I think that's I mean, their defensive numbers, I think, were starting to slip towards the end of last season, but they were still top half overall. And the way they defend is going to be good for defensive contributions as well. So I don't really have any worries about that. I mean, I will say, I guess it's put me off slightly more for Chris Wood than I already was. I was kind of coming around to it because of the fixtures. But
same.
I mean, I know everyone hates to hear it, right? Anytime I mentioned this last season, I was just called a Nottingham Forest hater and stuff. But quite often, expected goals catches up with you, and Forest were one of the worst attacks in the league last year for generating chances. It just so happened that Chris Wood had one of his best seasons ever, but they were bottom 5 for XG, and that just catches up with you. And perhaps that's what's going to happen at the start of this season. It might be that Chris Wood does fine, but he's now 7.5, so he's more expensive. He's competing with João Pedro and Mateta. Yeah, I've got 0 in Gibbs White. I don't hate, but for 7.5, I just feel like I want more than I don't hate him. I want to get a bit more excited about my pick, like Elliot Anderson. So,
you could
go Chris Wood. Expensive, right? Did they price him up with a move in mind there, or something? I think.
I don't know. I think he would have got. Yeah, I don't know. His underlying numbers are so underwhelming. He doesn't have penalties. I just can't get behind any Forest attackers, even if Elanga was still there. To be honest with you.
I know, you
They're
compare
too
someone like
expensive,
Gibbs
probably.
White versus Sarr, and I just think that's crazy that he costs $1 million more. Like maybe if he had the penalties and
The
stuff.
fixures
but,
are better, apart from
yeah,
Arsenal
and he is
away,
a good
but-
player. Again, it's not a slight on him as a player at all. It's just seems like a
It,
mad
it, I
valuation.
know it does seem a lot. The other team I've highlighted here is Brentford, just because I don't think they've had a particularly good pre-season either. I mean, they've only played 4 games, which is one of the fewest. I think Fulham are the only team that's played less, who obviously haven't been in the Club World Cup. They had another friendly lined up and it got cancelled, which isn't exactly great preparation, like just going into a new season. Obviously, they've lost key players. They've got they've lost their manager. New managers come in. There's lots of talk around Thiago. We were talking about him on the last stream, but I don't like it. I didn't like it last week. I don't like it even more after looking into this. So yeah, I won't be going for any Brentford players. I grouped these 3 together because I think this has been injury hit pre-season for these 3 clubs. Bournemouth have had Cliver injured for quite a long period. They've also obviously lost, like we talked about, Zabani and Huijsen. 2, they have got Senesi still, who look good, for large periods of last season. So, and they've signed a new centre back, but still three big losses. Newcastle. I mean, where do you even begin with the pre-season? Newcastle they could field a new 11 out of the players they've tried to sign, and they've rejected them. Hall and Botman have been playing some minutes, but I think Hal's said they're basically not fully fit. Gordon might even be injured as well. He limped off in the last game. He's obviously the Isak replacement, so who the hell are they going to play up front? They've only got Callum Wilson to push out on the thing and watch him, wander around for,
I think he
for
did
90 minutes.
Instagram or something that he said he was going to be okay.
Okay,
We have,
well, they
we
need
have
him.
seen that from players before.
Yeah,
It's a lie, but
they
I mean,
need
Niels
him.
makes a good point though. I mean, I think in other seasons we would have been all over this, wouldn't we? Gordon 7.5 playing centre forward, and he takes penalties when Isak's not there. Like, I still think there's a world that exists that he ends up being a pretty damn good option.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just them 2 opening fixtures just put you off massively, don't they? And there's other options, but I certainly think he's in the conversation. They've got Leeds and Wolves like the 2 after that.
I mean, the attack's still good, right? With Gordon, with Barnes, and with Elanga now, you've got an exciting front 3, and then the pace of those 3, that's got to be one of the quickest in the league. And then you've got the midfield, the solid midfield just behind them. They're not suddenly a bad team, Newcastle. I think they're still, even without Isak, they should go and do well.
Newcastle's strength is that midfield 3, isn't it? I think that they work so well together, and they're as good as any midfield sort of combination in the league, really. And we know that, like, home ground advantage, I suppose, Newcastle, of all the clubs you think of a home ground advantage, for some reason Newcastle's just right at the top. They just seem to be such a force there. So yeah, I think they're going to be okay, but like the noise around them, everything that's happened. I think when Mark was here, like back in the day, he loved all this stuff, didn't he? So he's got the bad vibes from Newcastle, and I think
there is definitely
a lot of that.
There is some bad vibes. Spurs obviously got hit with the Maddison injury. Slanky and Udogie haven't featured at all in pre-season. Sarr's actually been playing as the 10. So a lot of injuries around these 3, Andy. Probably the 3 most hit teams this pre-season. And I don't think there's not many any players from these teams featuring in people's thinking, right?
Yeah, I think with Bournemouth, it's a bit like Palace players with Chelsea away first up. They got Liverpool away, so it's such a big put off because it's not like they're 5.5 million. They're like 7, so it does feel bad to either play them against Liverpool away or bench them first game. But I mean, the Kluivert one's interesting because from what Iraola said, they were expecting him back by now, and it's taken longer. And we have seen some players in the past where that's happened. They're out for ages. I don't know if that's going to be the case here because I think it's just a calf injury. But obviously, Evan Nielsen would probably be on penalties if Kluivert's out. So he's semi-interesting because he's only 0.5 million more than Strand Larsen. And I quite like Semenyo, but again, like I just think there's so many good midfielders. Am I really buying one with Liverpool away?
How much is he? Is he 7? Is he
7? Yeah, they're all
price.
7. I think the main 3: Kluivert, Semenyo, and Evan Nielsen. So yeah, I'm kind of interested, but I don't see me going there. Newcastle, I think the defenders you'd want are just too expensive with the fixtures they've got compared to other options. And the problem with Gordon's a bit like the Gakpo problem, in that if it was the Leeds game first and then a good second game, maybe you take it for the first who's going to be on penalties and playing number 9. But by the time they get to the good fixtures, they're surely signing some number 9s. Even Newcastle are going to get some signings over the line soon. So I don't really see me going Newcastle either. Spurs, I mean, Solanke was in the first draft I made, like I'm sure he was for a lot of people. I did it on the day FPL launched, and as I was recording the video, it suddenly dawned on me that Son would probably have reduced minutes. He'd be on penalties. So at that point, I got quite excited about him. But unless he starts in the Super Cup tomorrow, you just can't go there either.
I can't do it to myself. Again, he killed me last season every week, watching him play as like a DM. It's just...
I think
can't.
it's better than that. I like Solanke, and penalties help as well. And also, there's the narrative of Thomas Frank turning him into Visser, pushing 20 goals.
Yeah,
I think the one player I'm kind of interested in if he goes to Spurs is Eze.
yeah.
Because I think he'll just get put in that number 10 role, and his minutes will be great. Eze at Arsenal, no interest at all. But Eze at Spurs, bit of interest. The problem is that transfer would have to happen probably tomorrow for him to start in game week 1. And that seems very, very unlikely. So again, it's probably a dodge because then you're buying him for City away.
Yep.
So it's just the defence at Spurs really out of those 3 teams that I'm looking at. Maybe Petrovic if I go down to a 4.5 at Bournemouth. But yeah, just Spurs defence.
Well, Porro stocks have soared, haven't they? Because now we think he's going to be taking set pieces with Madison gone. There's a few people saying about Wilson. I know he's gone to West Ham. I literally said that. I said they won't have him ambling around the pitch. So... I don't know why there's like 20 messages laughing at me for talking about Wilson. Unless that wasn't at me.
I know what you meant.
Thank you. I sometimes know what I mean. On the other flip side, I mean, teams that have had a pretty good pre-season and have had strikers in form, group those together. We got Aston Villa, we got Crystal Palace and West Ham. Very unlikely for West Ham to have a striker that we might actually be considering. We mentioned Watkins already. He's got 5 in 5. Interestingly, Marlon's been used as a sort of sub for him or playing up front rather than the right wing. There's a lot of talk about Marlon a few weeks ago. I think that's massively died down now. Mateta's also got 5 in 5 over pre-season, which I think is pretty good going for him. They've had a decent pre-season, 3 wins, a draw and a loss for them. And West Ham have had a great pre-season. I mean, they struggled for large periods of last year, but they've had 4 wins and 1 loss. And the big news is they've got a striker in form in Fulkrug who's got 3 in 3. New keeper now, so that kind of rules Areola out. They've got Juve, who obviously Andy North absolutely loves. He looks very attacking too. But yeah, let's focus on the strikers. Luke, Watkins, Mateta, Fulkrug. You could put all 3 in your team, couldn't you? And that'd be all right.
I was just about to say that. I think these 3 teams are all really quite interesting. Like West Ham, probably a little bit less than others.
Who would have thought?
But
West Ham being interesting.
Yeah, I mean they've got decent games, haven't they? And they've definitely got fantasy picks. I think Fulkrug, like you briefly sort of brushed over the Thiago thing. I mean Thiago at the moment just seems to be a no-go simply because Worcester's still not gone. They're actively signing other strikers and stuff. And we said right at the start, like the Thiago thing was if Worcester's gone and they haven't signed anyone, then he looks like he could be the option at 6. Everyone wants to, not everyone, but a lot of people want to spend as little as they can on a forward in certain areas, and he ticks the box of decent games, probably going to play. I don't think he's going to be on penalties. We think it's probably Paqueta, probably even Bowen ahead of him as well. But he can do a job. So the minutes was always the concern with him more than anything else, wasn't it? And they look like they're reasonably secure. So I don't really hate the Fulkrug one. I think Watkins is probably going to give me nightmares because I'm likely to not start the season with him, and I love him, and the games are really good. So I just think he's probably just a really sensible buy, and I'll probably look really stupid by not having him. So he's probably the one that gives me the most fear. And yeah, we already talked Mateta, didn't we? Mateta just with the added chance of more penalties. He's also at that nice spot of 7.5 million where there's quite a lot of strikers, and then Solanke, who we've already mentioned a little bit, was probably the darling, has still got those good games. So he offers you an avenue if Solanke's not quite ready, or even if he starts this Super Cup game, the next game's something like 80 something hours or something after it, I think. Maybe the chat will know for sure, but it's very close, and then you sort of worry about those minutes. So he just gives you like a nice little spot where you could pivot to quite a few players as well. The problem is you probably wouldn't be able to pivot up to Watkins very easily. So like for me, when we're talking about our drafts later, Fulkrug's certainly like one I've maybe thought about, but really the choice between Mateta and Watkins is like one that might go down to the wire for me, and it will obviously shape the rest of your team, because then you've got 1.5 million to do things with, haven't you?
Andy, talk to me about Fulkrug, 6 million. Obviously, you've got Strand Larsen at 6.5. You've also got all those defenders, right, at 6 million. You've also got Anderson at 5.5 and Reinders. Like, there's options around that price bracket, not necessarily just in that forward spot. Has he been in any of your teams?
Briefly, yeah. I actually think that the forward that will end up being the best 6 will be Barry at Everton, because I think he will get in ahead of Beto and get plenty of minutes. But you can't go there game week 1. Yeah, I guess the worry of Fulkrug is just the injuries last season. I just actually looked up on Transfer Market. He was out for, I don't know, about 160 days. But actually, his injury record before that He did do his cruciate for a while, like back in 2019, 2019,
Oh, we are
20.
rolling back the years.
Yeah. 2019-20, but actually since then it's not been that bad. So maybe it was just one of those things he had last year and it'd be fine. So I don't hate it. If I was going for someone at 6, it probably would be him. I really wanted Thiago to be that nailed on penalty taker at Brentford, but I've probably been put off enough. So yeah, I probably won't start. I just like Strand Larsen, to be honest. I think he's probably going to be on penalties. The fixtures are quite good after you get past the first few fixtures. But if I was going 6, I probably would buy Fulkrug. Yeah, right now.
2 quotes from Fulkrug. Obviously, the partnership with Bowen is reaping rewards in pre-season. They haven't really had much of a chance to build that, but they seem to really enjoy playing with each other, which is nice. Obviously, you've got that 2 million saving. You mentioned Mateta to Watkins, but obviously going for Fulkrug over Bowen saves you 2 million, which is quite a lot. I like this quote from Fulkrug, talking about his mentality. So he says, "If you see all my seasons where I scored a lot of goals, I think nearly half of the goals were after the 75th minute, because then I start to get new energy. Then I sometimes also get a little bit angry if it doesn't go how I want or how is going as a team." So if we're worried about his minutes and getting subbed early, actually he seems to suggest he's like hulking up.
Yeah, well, that's usually because he's on the bench and he's just pissed off.
But that's a good thing about
gets his goals after 75.
But that's another good thing about pre-season is you can see that he's getting the minutes. Like the last game, I think he played the whole match. So like it's kind of promising going in to the season. Just quickly, in case we go past it on Watkins, I mentioned earlier there's some people out there that think his minutes might not be quite so good. I don't necessarily think that, right? But the evidence, like you've just said there, Marlin's not being used on the right, he's being used up front. So will he sub on for Watkins in some games? Will Watkins now be like a 70 to 80 minute player instead of 80 to 90? If you think back to last season, just to make the argument, I don't necessarily agree with it, but this is the argument. At the start of the season when Duran was there, Watkins was getting subbed off early quite regularly.
Yep.
And then they bring in Rashford, whose best position is off the left, not as a number 9. And then Rashford starts ahead of Watkins. So does Unai Emery have a slight problem with him? Does he not quite think he's up to scratch? I don't know.
I think he does. I don't think he likes him. I don't think he rates him. I think he's looking for any excuse to try and not play him.
I don't think he's that bad, but I don't think he hates him or anything like that.
What is going on with it? To me, he's one of the best strikers in the league. And why does he keep subbing him at 70 minutes or not starting him?
Because he's got one striker. If he loses him, it's a problem. I think his game is all about high energy. He's always on the last man. He's all action, Watkins. I just think he's doing the right thing. Like, no one wants to go into the season with one striker, do they? They want to give him some breaks here and there. I don't think it's anything more than that.
I'm with Andy. I don't think he.
Oh, hold up! I'm just making the count. I don't necessarily agree with it.
I'm with Andy. I don't rate him. I just
think there's enough of a concern to think that he might get subbed at, like, say, the 80th minute or whatever. Which forwards won't? There's not very many that don't. Like, probably
Strand Larsen.
Yeah, well, maybe Strand Larsen, but they've only got one striker. They're going to sign another forward, surely, Wolves, because again they're in that situation now where they've only got like one. It looks like. I think Haaland's probably. I think minutes per start, Haaland is the best forward in the league.
Yep.
So it'd be funny if Marlon starts game week 1, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it? Oh my God.
I can't see it, but I hope so. If I don't go with one.
I don't see it either.
One other thing I thought I mentioned was Munoz got 9 DEFCON in the Community Shield. He's not a player people are buying for DEFCON. He nearly got to the limit. I don't think it's going to get much better than that for him in a game against like an all-attacking Liverpool side. So. Yeah,
he did alright on it last year, though, right? I think he got like 16 extra points.
Did he get about 16? Okay.
Yeah. If you think Lacroix, I think was the highest on. I think he pushed 30 or something like that. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to say 16. I'm going to look it up right now, really quickly.
Who are you talking about? Sorry, I zoned
Munoz. 14 extra points.
He did pretty well on it. Yeah, for a fullback, definitely.
I mean, that surely boosts his appeal, then, right?
I want him in pretty quick.
Yeah.
I think he's just a great pick, isn't he?
If he's the most attacking fullback in the league, who might occasionally get you your 2 DEFCON points as well.
You haven't seen Aït-Nouri yet, Az? You haven't seen
Aït-Nouri. He's in. Well, I have seen him because he's in my squad. Cool. Okay, let's move over to the last couple then. Brighton Wolves. Yeah, not really a huge amount to say about these. I mean, I could obviously talk about Brighton forever, but I won't because I know people get sick of me talking about them. I think the big news with them was De Kuyper scoring. A lot of interest in the left back. Now, what could possibly go wrong? A left back doing well in pre-season. Verbruggen came back for anyone looking at a 4-5 goalkeeper, so he looks fine to start. And I know James from Planet FPL was really interested in Ruter. He has been playing up front quite a bit in pre-season. I think he probably starts game week 1 as well, with Welbeck dropping out. It's a big season for him. Only cost 6 million. Our fixtures aren't great, but he has looked really good. A lot of interest in Brighton, but obviously we just got so many players. It's hard to know which one to go for.
You don't think Welbeck's going to start game week 1?
No, I don't think he will. I think it'll be Ruter up top.
Nah, surely not. I think Ruter will play 10 and then he'll move to 9 when Welbeck.
I think O'Reilly's going to play 10. I think he's been trusted.
You should tweet out that Welbeck's not going to start and Rutter's generational.
I'm not saying a bloody thing. I'll add that disclaimer right now.
Talent.
Don't listen to anything I bloody say when it comes to Brighton, because I'm absolutely, apart from that Pascal Gross pick 6 years ago that I'm still dining in on, I've been absolutely useless with Brighton.
FPL Instinctive, which you probably guys all follow, does fantastic pieces on Brighton, by the way, if you guys are on Twitter.
What are you saying, Luke?
Well, I'm not saying yours.
You're saying
he does all
he's
articles.
He's
got a
Brighton
website.
expert.
He's got everything, so he's definitely worth checking out. But no, I think you might be on something. I mean, some of the pre-season friendlies, if we're going to read into them, seem to show that Welbeck was playing with the B team and Rutter was playing up front. So you could be on something. The thing is with Hertzler, I just don't trust him, so I just don't know. I don't know what was going to happen there, so as a result, I'm just going to avoid it.
I will say right now that if you do have Welbeck in your team, I would strongly suggest you reconsider. I just don't think he's an option at the start of the season with Rutter there. Rutter, whatever you want to call him.
Taking out Strand Larson now, putting Welbeck in.
Put Welbeck straight in, yeah. Surely he's not going to have another season like he
What
did
about,
last year.
okay, all jokes aside, what about De Kuiper? Because when FPL launched and he joined Brighton, like there was so much hype around him, 4.5 million. The underlying data from last season was ridiculous, and that hype's like completely died down. Like, I don't even know.
I really, really, really like him, and he scored a goal pre-season. He was in the box. It was a good finish as well. It was you actually, Luke, who I was talking to about it, and you mentioned like Hinchell, like okay, all jokes aside, Barco not starting last season was absolutely insane. Like I just want everyone for the record to know him not starting was completely ridiculous. He played pretty much every game. He was given corners. He looked absolutely amazing. Something must have happened for Hertzler to have got rid of him, right? Because he played Hinchelwood at left back. Hinchelwood's never played left back in his life until that game. Now he's playing right back. He's a central midfielder. But now we've got Hinchelwood there. We've got Kadioglu coming back from injury too. He's got to fit in the team somewhere because he's like an elite player. We've got lots of players who can fill in on the left, and I don't know.
I'll tell you what, I think Hertzler might have been right, mate, because when he went to, was it Valencia or Seville, or where did he go in the end? He barely played a game there.
Seville, I know.
So
and then he went to
mate.
France, and he barely played there as well.
Do you know what the thing I'm struggling with someone like De Kuiper? I think in the past, like maybe 2 or 3 seasons ago, you'd look at someone like that and you would definitely want to take the risk. But because of defensive contributions now, it's almost like, do I take the risk on that guy that might be super attacking and might play, or do I just get someone in that's going to consistently get me the odd plus 2 points?
What's the point? What's the point? What's the point of going for him when you can have like an Anderson or a Richards or one of these centre backs that's just going to probably do all right? And the fixtures aren't even that great anyway. I think he has potential to be a really, really exciting, fun pick, but I don't even know what formation we're going to play at the moment. I'd like to see us play 3 at the back. If we play 3 at the back and he's at wing back, then amazing. But if we stick to the 4 at the back, we're not great defensively either. We've been carved open so many times in pre-season. Yeah, I've gone off him. I love him. I think he's great. And if you're going with him, good on you. But yeah, I'm staying away. Wolves are the other team. So I paired Brighton and Wolves because they mirror each other. So Brighton have had 4 wins and a draw and no losses. Wolves have had the opposite. They haven't had a win in pre-season. No wins, 1 draw, 4 losses. Probably not too surprising given they've lost some key players. They are struggling for creativity. Arias looks really fun and really good. He's another one to add to the 5-5 bracket with Reinders and Anderson. But other than Strand Larson, I mean, I showed you a team of Arias, didn't I, Luke? And you were like, yeah, that's a bit too fun. I think you're probably right. Oh, you're muted, I think. Muted.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah, fun. We're back on this thing again, isn't it? It's like, I keep saying points are fun. I suppose that's for me. Other people don't. That seems to offend people when I put it in the chat. Okay, if people want to have fun not getting points, that's absolutely fine. But I think most people want to get points in FPL to have the fun. It's absolutely fine if you don't want to do that. With Arias, like, definitely he's in the frame, isn't he? In terms of, he looks like he's a really good player. He looks like he's pretty much been like signed to replace Cunha. He looks like the guy who's going to do that role. He might end up with penalties even, and he could be fantastic. But we've already said it a few times. Do you need to be the first person on him? He's like versus Man City. You know, sometimes, a lot more times, these kind of picks, we sort of remember the ones that go really well, but over many, many times, they actually fail a lot more often than they succeed. And I think if you go look at his goal record and everything, like translated from the league he's in back to here, it's like the chances of him improving on that are probably not great unless he has those penalties and other bits. So let's just wait and see. I think is probably the sensible play. He is tempting because he looks sexy. And
Come on, Andy. Come on, Andy. Sell us the Arias
No,
stream.
I'm going to back Luke up. The thing is, right, when like, I've never seen him play before. I didn't really watch much of the Club World Cup. When he got announced at 5.5, the initial hype was from everyone that they couldn't believe that he was only 5.5. So I thought, wow, we must have this gem. And I don't know about you guys, but if there's a player new to the league that I've not seen before, I just do a quick FB ref scout on him. And I looked at his like XG and expected assists, and I thought, oh, what's all the hype? What did I miss at the Club World Cup? Like, he's fine, but there's a reason he's 5.5. He's not like this massively underpriced player. Like, I'll tell you a player I think could be really good is Gesson at Villa. His numbers are better. But obviously he's 6.5, so there's less reason to take the punt. So I think Arias is fine.
I know absolutely nothing about him. That is a
well, his numbers look interesting. His goal threat is pretty decent. It's like 0.32 expected goals per night. Arias, like it's kind of last year / this year was 0.12. The season before 0.19. Like, he did take some penalties, but will he have penalties at Wolves? I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, 5.5. If you're not going to go for like an Anderson or a Reinders, you probably are taking a bit of a punt. I don't think there's any other like absolute certainties unless you go for a defensive contribution guy like Caicedo. So he's fine. I just don't see him as anything more than that, really.
To back up Andy on the Villa guy, there's a guy on Twitter, I think he's like at Alexander BRKR, I think, and he works for The Athletic, and I sometimes follow him because he does like really good breakdowns of like scouting and players, and he is all over this guy. He thinks he's like the greatest player ever. He's like usually he's really critical of every player. That's kind of his thing. He's like, he'll go look at a player that everyone says is good, and he'll go, yeah, he's pretty good, but he's got all these negative points. And I remember reading a thread on him like saying like he can't really see any. He thinks he's in line for like stardom and all sorts of stuff. So I'd go check it out. So I mean, Villa are quite good at that. Go on, Andy.
You know what about Gesson? He can play in all three positions across the front, and last season over 50% of his minutes were at centre forward. Just saying.
Bye, Watkins.
It's going to be Gesson number 9, and Marlon's going to be the backup. Watkins is just getting sold. Right?
Yeah, he's getting sold. Yeah, he can come to Brighton. We could use a proper centre forward. I really like Arias. I disagree with both of you. I think he's really fun, and I really want him, but I'm not going to start with him because I think Reinders and Anderson are probably ahead of him. Everton Fulham. I just cover these few quickly, and then because I want to talk about some pre-season lessons. Everton Fulham, though. Dewsbury Hall has come in. He looks fun, playing at 10. He's on set pieces, just 5 million. Tarkowski and Branthwaite started the last pre-season game for Everton, and both hit 10 defensive contributions in that game. I think that's going to be a theme we see quite a lot this season. And Fulham, if you haven't been around, Fulham have actually played the lowest number of pre-season games, but they've won all 3 of them. And Wilson has scored 3 goals in those 3 matches. And we now think Muniz is off as well. So does that boost Jimenez?
To Atalanta, isn't it? Rather
yeah.
I mean, I just can't believe Fulham haven't re-signed Willian because he's currently a free agent. So I don't know what they're playing at.
There's still time, Luke. There's still time.
Do you know what's even funnier? I looked at like they're heavily linked with a guy called Kevin. Who's a one-word...
Kevin and Barry.
Oh no, he's a one-word named Brazilian as usual, who plays on the wing, looks a bit like Willian, and plays for Shakhtar, where Willian come from. So
is
they've
it
just done the Football Manager regen thing here. I think they've finally got rid of him and they're going for the new one. Fulham just worried me with the fact they haven't really made many signings, but the manager's just good, isn't it? So I suppose that's what the appeal with them is, that the fixtures still rotate and dovetail quite nicely with a lot of the popular picks, and the manager generally seems to get a tune out of them. So I think they'll be all right, but it's probably a little bit of worry amongst the fans that they're just not signing anyone, it seems. I'm
glad Bill Freddie said it, because there's a player called Josh King who isn't the Norwegian Josh King, but for a 4-5 mid, King has been playing a lot in pre-season, and I think he's been sharing like a number 10 role with Smith Rowe as well, who looks like pretty fat. Like, no disrespect to Smith. I saw a picture of him and I was like, Jesus Christ, you've been on the pies this holiday, this pre-season, haven't you? Like, sorry, no disrespect, Emil, but Jesus Christ. Anyway, Josh King looks all right. Andy, Everton, Dewsbury Hall, Tarkowski, Branthwaite, good fixtures.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't go for Brandt, like, unless you're doubling up. I think Tarkovsky's the one to go for. Like, I think I saw something like he got the defensive contributions he needed in the last preseason game in like 67 minutes or something. Like, he's absolutely ridiculous. So I quite like him, as I'm sure most people do. Dewsbury Hall, I think, is super interesting. I think he's going to be nailed. I think he's going to be nailed in that number. Like, I don't know if it would always be a 10. It might be like a number 8 that's given license to get forward, etc. I think he's been brought in to play a lot. And he might take some set pieces. That will probably depend on who else is on the pitch. And 5 million is so enticing. The fixtures are quite good. It's just that constant like battle in my mind is, do I save the 0.5 on Anderson? Where can I spend that? And if it does go wrong, like, Dewsbury Hall would then be the only risk in my team, really, so I can just sell him. But then the problem is, unless I leave that 5.5, I can't really go anywhere unless I'm going to, like, Xhaka. Or if Josh King just keeps playing. So I'm semi-confident Dewsbury Hall is going to be amazing value, and he could be this season's Rodgers. Maybe not quite as good.
You can't run away from KDH. She was like, Joe, you can't run away.
Yeah, can't run away. That's it.
There's nowhere to run away. Yeah.
I don't know about that, Andy, man. I feel like Grealish is going to play 10. I feel like Grealish will come in and play 10.
No, I think Njai is going to get pushed somewhere else. I think Grealish is going to play a lot of minutes on the left. Dewsbury Hall is going to play 10, and Njai's not going to play as much as people think. That's my hot take.
There you go.
Or Ndai go right side, maybe?
He could go right, yeah.
Neil is pessimistic about Dewsbury Hall starting game week 1. And Neil is very, very good at predicted lineups. So I would have a bit of caution with that.
Straight in. He's going to need like 10 months intensive training.
Grealish ain't starting game week 1. The thing with Dewsbury Hall is, I don't think he was at Everton very long at all after signing. He was thrown straight into that first pre-season game. Maybe it was just to get a look at him. But I do think he's been signed to play a lot of minutes. But it's all well and good me saying this. I'm not going to start with him because that's just the kind of guy I am these days.
We've got 4 teams left, arguably the 4 favourites for relegation. I think we'll probably start with your team, Manchester United, both of you. I mean, where do you even start with, man? You talk about Newcastle's window of pain. Man United have had the opposite. They're being linked with bloody Carlos Baleba. Now you can literally get stuffed. There is no way.
I can't believe that's going to happen.
There's
honestly,
no way you're going to pay 125 million for Carlos. But he's worth it. He's worth it. But you ain't going to get him this summer. Surely not. I think we could talk about Man U for ages, but the fixtures aren't great. There's some worries from Amorim, who said that he doesn't think Mbeumo and Kuna are even fit to start the season. He says they're operating at like 50-60% of their potential. I guess the thing I do want to get your take on, Andy, is Fernandes, though, because you have stuck by that man through thick and thin. The amount of abuse you've got on your channel for picking Bruno Fernandes over the years, and now he's like the darling, isn't he? He's in loads of teams, highly featured on the review picks, gets the DEFCON. I didn't even need to look at your team to know he was in.
Yeah, it kind of worries me a little bit because last year I was pretty confident the whole way I was going to start with him, or at least for most of pre-season, everyone hated him. Whereas this year, I'm a little bit less sure about it, but everyone else seems to like him a bit more. He's gone, like, yes, he gets defensive contributions, but he's also gone up in price, so he's more expensive, and he's probably going to play less minutes in a number 10 role. But yet people like him more. I can't really get my head around that. Yeah, I think it's quite unlikely he's value for money at 9 million, but you do know what you're going to get with him, and sometimes that's just nice. And I think this is hard to measure, but there probably is value in having players you don't ever need to worry about. Like, he's never going to get injured. Not yet, anyway. Maybe when he's like 35, 36 possibly. He never gets injured. He always plays. He ain't losing penalties to no one. He'll still get forward. He'll tick over with returns. When he doesn't get an attack and return, he can get defensive contributions. There's no flair about that pick whatsoever. There's no excitement, really. But as we saw in that final pre-season, he got like an assist off a corner from an own goal. He got 12 defensive contributions. He would have been a 10-pointer in FPL because he's so good for bonus. Like from doing almost nothing, really, that we're kind of used to outside of the defensive contributions. So I kind of like him because I can just stick him in. I never have to worry about him. Like, if at some point I need the money, I can sell him, and if not, he just keeps playing for me, and he'll get the odd penalty, and it's not going to be a 15 to 20 pointer. But how often does that really happen for most players anyway? So he's fine, but I think it depends how you frame the fixtures. The first 3 are probably okay, but when you add the first 5, it's not so good. But then it's Sunderland instead. I might even captain him in Game Week 3 while I'm rambling about him. So yeah, I think
this is exactly the rant that I wanted after setting you up for this.
Yeah, he's
Perfect.
a good pick, but he's not as essential as it feels like he's being made out by some people now. That's for sure.
Yep. Luke,
Everyone else I would ignore, apart from maybe Dorgu.
Luke, there is. I don't know why you've even sent me teams that haven't had Fernandes in. I always knew you'd have him.
That's not me and Andy. Andy has him more than me. We have little debates occasionally when I do talks about FPL, and we're always like, I don't know whether I can do it to myself again. I always seem to somehow get him at some point during the season. But everyone's got those players that just don't seem to work for you. Like, he is definitely on that list for me. Like, whenever I've got him in my team, he doesn't do anything, and I get bored and I remove him, and then he goes on the run. I think last season, Andy, you actually kept him, right? And then he started returning points for you. And that's the whole thing about, like you said.
Oh, it was beautiful.
It's the hidden value, like you say.
I was actually quite happy for you when all that was going on, because you did deserve it.
Even though I didn't get the points, I was happy for you, Andy. It's just
it was even
value.
Exactly. It was even. Sorry, I'm gonna rant about it last season. It was even better because when I kept him, it was when everybody else went for Diaz, and Diaz just became rubbish. And Fernandes started. He actually got red carded before he got good. But
that
was
the
amazing.
Funniest one.
Yeah.
I remember messaging you about that. I saw the red card.
I was in the gym in between sets, leaving you voice messages as to why keeping Fernandes was a good decision. You were just baiting me, and I took it every time.
Yeah, it was really fun. I love talking to you about Fernandes. He did well for me last season. I got him for that Leicester game and captained him. That was a rare good moment for my season last year, where I thought things might all turn around, and then it all went to shit again. Final one of the 3 relegated teams. Leeds with 3 wins and 3 draws. They've had the best pre-season, you could argue. Sunderland with 2 wins, 2 draws and 5 losses. And an entirely new team, so I'm not sure there's much we can do with that. Burnley with 3 wins isn't bad. 1 draw and 2 losses. The notes from that are Perot's got 4 and 5, but the Leeds fans still hate him. It seems like the manager hates him as well. Been talking about getting new options in to replace him. He's done all right. Perry's back in goal, so that's killed the Darlow dream. Gu doesn't seem like he's fit, or he's fit to start their first match. Lafay looks like he's been dropped, or isn't. He needs some work to get back into the team, according to the manager. And there's obviously all the cheap defenders. Their defence looks a bit injury ravaged. It looks like Mandava looks like the safest at 4 million. Now I know there's a lot of interest in like Reynildo, who looks probably their best defender, but to start the season you probably want to go with Mandava. And then for Burnley you've got 2 wing backs in Hartman and Son at 4 million, but I think most of us are going for Electronic Steve at the heart of defence, and we don't think Dubravka's going to be fit, so I think there's a lot of bench boosters out there who might be a little bit worried about that. Andy, anything else to say on the relegation teams, or should we move on from them?
I'm going to start with Dubravka and Gu because there doesn't seem any better options at those prices, and that's about it. I think I'm ignoring everyone else.
Someone said that Ronaldo is Mandava. Well, that would change.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I've not heard that name. I listened to the Sunderland Planet FPL correspondent thing. I don't remember that name. The thing with Reinildo at left back, they've signed a new left back, Masuaku, right? So is he even nailed on anymore? I don't know.
I think he can even play centre back, and I think he's supposed to be really pretty good, this guy. But the thing is, you're not going to go from a fullback for these teams, I don't think, because defensive contributions just mean like these teams are likely to be the teams that actually have to constantly stick their head on the ball that's getting chucked into their area constantly over and over. So I just think it makes no sense not to go with. I mean, even Goodmanson from Leeds, I think he was quite advanced. He was taking some set pieces, even some corners. I don't know if that's going to continue into the season, and that was without Bogle on the other side, who's generally the more advanced one. So maybe, that's just a pre-season thing. But I still wouldn't even pick him. I'd just pick Rodon if I was going to pick one, because he's likely just to get the contributions.
Yeah.
I've seen some Leeds fans say though that Goodmanson is more nailed than Rodon. Like Rodon is probably like close to 100% going to start, but it's not as locked in as it is for Goodmanson because they've got no other left back.
I think every minute last year though, didn't he? So I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's hard to back that, but then I'm not a Leeds fan, so I don't know. I just think that with Esteve at Burn, he's just got some okay home games you could play him in early on, whereas Rodon doesn't, apart from game week 1. So
we've seen this kind of thing with like the Leif Davises of the world and other sort of attacking fullbacks that have come up from lower teams, and they're touted to do well, and they might get the odd assist, but overall they just get battered so often it's not worth it. So the only reason we're even picking these guys is because they're going to hopefully pick up those DEFCONs, where hopefully if they have to come in, they'll get 3 points rather than 2. Like, that's pretty much the dream here. I know that's pretty much a downer. Like, I mean, maybe I'm doing him a disservice because I think Leeds could actually do pretty well as a team overall. But at least that's how it appears to me at the beginning of the season, and then we can worry about it later.
Yep. It is Reynildo Mandava. There you go. There you go. I'm trying to sell you the Mandava dream. We don't need to because Reynildo's the one that everyone wants. Anyway, great stuff, everyone. That's all the teams covered pre-season. Hopefully that's helped a few of you with decisions, or you completely disregard everything because pre-season means absolutely nothing. Depends on your take. But pre-season lessons, Luke, we're coming over to you. It should be Andy Moe doing this, given that he's a teacher and he could tell us, all of his learnings over the years. But we're coming to you instead. Mark is the one that normally leads on this section. We've got a whole list of things. I'll probably post those. I don't think we need to go through those today. But yeah, I wanted to get your take. How are you preparing for this season? Obviously, your relationship, can we say, with FPL has changed quite a lot over the last few years. So how do you approach a pre-season?
Yeah, I just want to say that this is very much like me trying to talk to myself more than anything else. It's not me trying to educate anyone to play FPL. I wouldn't do that. This is me trying to talk myself out of some of the bad things that I've done in the past. And I think just that plan for peace, prepare for chaos is not like a message that you might not be phrased exactly like that you won't hear from a million other people. It's essentially bears down to the information at the beginning of the season is just at its lowest point, right? We've got loads of unknown factors. We think we know a lot of stuff, but then the minute situation, probably more than anything, you can't be sure how fit some of these players are. We get hints at pre-season, but they might go to their first game, their first sort of match, and they do their sort of pre-season fitness test, and the physio says we can only see 70 from him and stuff. We don't get to see all of the information behind in the background, do we? So some of those changes, you've got manager changes, you've got player changes, tactical situations, all the information is not exactly how it was last season. Even down to stuff like set pieces, right? Set pieces are so important in the game. They're bringing the set piece coach is one of the most important staff members in the team now. Just ask Arsenal, and it's I don't think they just sort of go, oh, you're the big man, you go at the back post, you've got a wand of a left foot, you bang it to that guy, and then the set piece coach says, yeah, practice that 10 times, then sits down, doesn't do anything for 5 years. They're constantly trying to think of new ways to surprise people. It could be just something as simple as they put a new man on the front post quite regularly that ends up getting a lot more DEFCONs. All these things could come to fruition, aren't they? So I think with a plan for what I'm trying to say is you want to pick the known quantities. You want to pick robust picks, as the phrase is in the analytical world, the robust picks, the ones that stand up to scrutiny as best as you can. And then the reason you do that is because obviously you don't want to get Quansad or Nkunku, do you? You don't want to have that player that you have in your team that then affects you when you start the season. You might have all these plans, I'm sure you guys have done it as well. I've looked at the fixtures and gone, I'd love to be able to bring maybe some Man City players in game week 6. I'd like to maybe jump on Arsenal in 7, and then maybe you start looking at game week 1 and you go, oh, I really like this player. I like Manoz, but he's got a bad game week 1. So what I'll do is I'll get him game week 2 or whatever it might be. The more of those transfers you start to plan in, if you haven't sorted out the rest of your team with those robust and strong picks, suddenly that all goes out the window. And you can't do those moves, or what often will happen, like I've done in the past, I've become wedded to those plans, and then I have to sort the issues as well, and then you end up in a situation where you think, the prices are changing, I want to take hits and stuff, and suddenly it's like a spiral. So I just think, as much as you want to be sexy from the beginning and go, yeah, the crowd don't know about this player, he's 1% owned, I'm going to bring him in, I'm going to start him, I'm a genius, everyone else is an idiot, if he scores 3 goals and no one else has got him, I'm going to absolutely fly. Yeah, maybe. But those situations don't happen very often. You'll only hear from the one idiot where it worked, the guy who come in game week 1.
Pascal Gross, 6 years.
Or the one, Arias is an example, right? He flies. Oh, idiots, you should have seen Arias, you should have got him. But what about the other 30 people who picked some other randomer who did absolutely nothing? You won't hear about them. So I think it's just that whole...
Is this why Anderson is such a good pick, Andy? Because, like you said earlier, you know what you're going to get. He's going to get some set pieces. He's going to get the DEFCON. The fixtures are good. You could try and be sexy with all these other 5/5s, but... do you just stick with him? Is that the advice here? Pick Anderson.
Not necessarily. And I feel to not use a quote from James, but you play it your own way. FPL, if picking those random players that sometimes don't work out is fun, and you should go for it. But Anderson is just going to offer everything you could want from a 5.5. At least that's what it looks like he's going to do based off last season. He might not. He might also be an absolute dud. But this is where you need probably a proper analytical person on to kind of explain this better. But there is
What are you saying
value
about
again in
Luke?
picking players like that.
He's saying he's not a proper analytical
Remember,
Well, he
these
was-
are
he-
lessons for me.
Yeah, sorry,
you
sorry.
guys can crack on and pick those crazy players. I need to not do
sorry,
it.
sorry.
Mental
Luke,
health.
maybe Luke can articulate this better than I can, but like there's value in Anderson because you put him in your team, you know he's going to start. Again, like Bruno, you don't ever have to worry about him, so it's going to allow you to roll transfers. So when stuff does start becoming a problem, you're in a better position to deal with it. Whereas if you start putting in a bunch of players like Marlon, for example, who might not start, straight away you've got a problem, unless you're willing to just have a player that gets benched a lot. And so you're then a transfer behind. I'm so scarred from last season. I will not pick a single risk because Kwanzaa and Nkunku basically forced me into making 2 transfers in the first 2 weeks that I didn't want to do, and then I'm left behind people that didn't pick those players. So there's value in having these more boring, safe picks because it actually allows you to be a bit more flexible with the role transfers, basically. It's a long way of saying Anderson's great.
You're not going to win every time, but you're going to put yourself in a position, which is all this game is, to win more often than you lose. And that's all we're trying to do with that kind of rule there. Like I said, you'll hear about the few people who have managed to get that right pick and do it right, but we can't always do that every single time. It's actually quite rare that happens. So that's all we're trying to do, is we're trying to play the long game, the consistent game. Well, I am. Now,
I think you're convincing me on Anderson here over Reinders, and I need
to.
No, I
I've
don't
already
do
told
it.
you, if
You've
you get
done
the
it.
minutes right, he's probably a better pick. But
This is what you've done to me. See, this is what you've done. You come on here, Andy, and you've ruined me. You've ruined my whole style. Hope you're proud of yourself.
Anderson's going to get no DEFCONs and 1 assist in the first 6 games, and he'll be. There's always that player in there that's hyped up, that's like not that exciting, like Anderson. And then after 6 weeks, I can't believe
Yeah, everyone's like, why the hell did we pick Anderson? Arias has gone on and scored like back-to-back hat-tricks.
Out of all of these lessons is to stay off Twitter. Basically, like those players you've eyed up 50-50, you know it will go wrong first day, and then you will be like, why did you get Anderson? Yellow card, no DEFCONs, lol. It's like you don't want to do it to yourself. Just get off of there.
Patience, Luke. We know. I mean, patience is a funny one. I've always struggled with it because I think the biggest problem I've had over the last few seasons, and arguably the biggest problem you had last season with Haaland, was we were very patient with players. I'm very patient with players. I keep Solanke. I'm like, they're a good pick. They're going to start getting the returns, blah, blah, blah. And you watch all these other picks just doing well, and you haven't got on them, and you lose the price value, you lose the points, your player doesn't do very well, they drop in price, and you find yourself really far behind. So how do you find the line between being patient and moving quickly to get in the points?
Every case is unique, and we remember the ones like that had an effect on us. But all this is about winning more times than you lose. And I think being patient more times works out than the other way around. So all I'm trying to do here is say, and I've said it about 30 times already, I think, about players not changing their stripes too much. It's like if suddenly a player comes out and he just looks like he's the world's best thing. I mean, there's plenty of examples we can think of that, I guess. What's his face that played, was it for West Ham? Jesse Lingard, for example, suddenly looks like he's the greatest player of all time, and then you really want to jump on him, and it's like eventually the data catches up. Like Nottingham Forest has already been talked about. It looks like the data's catching up. It's not that you don't ever want to consider him, because every case is unique. It's just that it's not even a lesson that I'm really teaching myself. It's more, even before like the modern day fantasy football or analytical, we go back in time, we look at Meet the Manager with Joe and all that stuff. They interviewed all these good guys, and literally every single one of them will say, you've got to be patient with your good picks. And I talked about Bruno Fernandes there and being guilty of getting bored and moving him out, and then he goes on a run. Like, come the end of the season, he's a good pick. So I just think you don't want to react too quickly to the small samples. That's it. You can't just go, 2 or 3 weeks, these guys look insane, this is all good. Like, Raya's getting loads of saves for Arsenal. Why didn't I think of picking him, for example? That happened one of the seasons. And then suddenly you realise he's not getting loads of saves because actually Arsenal don't give up loads of shots. And that's actually been what they've been like for 3 years. And it's not suddenly magically changed in 3 or 4 games. So I just think that when you're sort of on the edge, patience is probably the better way to
go. And I think when I asked Andy, not you Andy, other Andy, for some of his lessons, which we're going to talk about when we do late tackle later in the week, and we'll talk about mine, it's that idea that waiting and holding a transfer where you can, given that we can hold them up to 5, it has become more valuable than it has been in seasons like 3, 4, 5 years ago. I mean, obviously the big hitters are one thing, you keep patience in those, but Andy, do you think there's more scope to react faster to some of the lesser, like say you go for Anderson, for example, and you realise very quickly that Reinders is playing as an 8 for Man City, and Nottingham Forest look absolutely terrible in the first 2 games. You think, well, Reinders is going to be 6 million in a few weeks. Are they the positions that you're better off swapping around?
Maybe. I guess the question will be in 2 weeks' time. Has anything like the question I'll be asking myself? Has anything really changed? Has Reinders now become nailed? Because if not, I've got the same problem about the headache that I spoke earlier. Is Anderson still playing good minutes? Is he getting defensive contributions, etc.? If he is, then he probably hasn't become any worse. And so I basically like making my decisions in advance, and then you need to question like what's changed. Like it's like take the Salah example. He's in everyone's teams in pre-season, or most people's teams. You know, has anything really changed after that Crystal Palace game? Not really. He's still just the same player. So I guess it's one of those things you can't really answer as an evergreen thing, like is case by case. But yeah, I mean, let's say that 2 Man City play, like let's say Cherky and Foden are injured and Reinders is playing number 8 or number 10, then yeah, I might change my mind. But if all those players are still available, I don't know if I would change unless there's real reason to believe I've made a mistake.
Yep. Good advice.
It's like Bruno. I said this on Twitter the other day. Sorry, yeah, I was going to say, if he's in my team game week 1, he's probably there till the Sunderland game in game week 7, no matter how bad he plays before.
Yep. Your internet's a little bit laggy, by the way, Andy. So if you think you're being interrupted, it's probably because we think you've stopped talking. That's all right. Final one then, Luke. This is something I'm really trying to do. I've mentioned it already, checking review and some of the other sites. Things that I've just not really done in the past, not to the level that I want to use them potentially this year, because I do want a bit of an unbiased sense check. You spoke about it when we were looking at the models last week. But I'm guessing that's what you're going to say, right? This is how we use these tools to make sure we're not going completely off the rails.
Well, yeah, and that's the choice that I've made for myself. But I'm not saying that everyone needs to do that. If they don't want to do that, that's absolutely fine. But I think that you should at least try and sense check some of the picks with, you know, whoever it be, a content creator or that you watch that's your favourite, Reddit, like your best friend, your boss, a fan, whoever it is. If someone that you trust, essentially, who you think that's got a good opinion on something, then go across and have a look just to see if you're wildly different. Because, again, like I think it's almost like an ego thing sometimes. We kind of big ourselves up to think that, do you know what, sat in my bedroom watching these few clips, I believe that I have found the greatest player ever here that is on 2% ownership. No one else has seen it and the crowd are dumb and he is the greatest pick ever. And my estimations are he's going to score 400 points and everyone else can't see it. What the hell is going on? And then you look at what everyone else is saying, you know, and for me, it'd be like a model or something like, I'm way off here. That would send alarm bells to me. That would say, maybe I'm not right. But I see a lot of people go, well, no, I'm definitely there. And then the outcome bias will often happen where they might actually get that one choice right. And then they get on this pattern of then thinking that was the right choice rather than maybe they got a little bit lucky.
Well, that's me.
Yeah, you're literally... and then they want to do it again and then they want to find someone else. So
still seeking that high of feeling that you're right against someone else.
Well, because I think you're a good example because you got Bruno Gomes once, I remember, didn't you? And he
still dining on that one as well. Yeah, two good decisions in 4 years. Yeah,
but that's the one you remember, and it was fantastic. But I don't know, where did you finish that season? Maybe you had a good season, but maybe you didn't have a good one.
4K, thank you very much.
Okay, so that's a poor example. Let's take that out. But did Bruno Gomes go on to be like the greatest goal scorer of all time and be the greatest player? Or did you perhaps maybe get a little bit lucky in that game? And maybe the lesson really should have been you shouldn't...
Absolutely not. No,
okay, all right. We're lost.
Bad example, lessons. Luke. That was a real skill, you know.
Okay, my mistake. But I think you get what I'm saying, right? You just, if you are wildly different, you might be right, but just give it a bit of a sense check. That's all I'm saying.
Andy, I think there's a balance here as well, because I'd say something else I'm guilty of the last few seasons is if I say I decide that I want a player on the Monday and I go on Twitter and everyone's talking about him, that puts me off. That puts me off straight away. And it shouldn't, but it does, because I feel like I always want to be a bit contrarian and be a bit different. But also, you can get suckered into the hype train, right? If you're using Twitter and there's a player you haven't considered and then everyone buys him and then they blank and it's absolutely rubbish. I remember Hwang a few years ago, like before that Norwich game, everyone was going absolutely mad for him.
I got him too, yeah.
Yeah, I think pretty much everyone did. I mean, you know, you could argue Luke could argue it's variance. He was a good pick. He was playing Norwich, all that kind of stuff. But you know, it happens. I mean, how do you? I mean, you're the most watched out of everyone. You're the one that inspires a lot of people to pick, you know, these players and start these bandwagons and form templates. But how do you yourself prevent against that. I know I've known you for years, though. You don't care, do you? You don't. I don't think you care. Do you care what anyone else is doing? I can't imagine you go on Twitter and being, yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, it's quite good, that.
No, like I mean, the only thing that matters, sorry, I don't know what's going on with my internet. It's usually fine.
Can hear you fine. It's
the only thing that matters is points. I don't care. Okay. The only thing that matters is points. I don't care where they come from. The guy can be 80% owned, 8% owned. It just doesn't matter. And ultimately, like, there's so much content these days, podcasts, videos, articles. That differential is not going to be differential for very long anymore. So it's just not something that I really worry about. It's really nice. Like, I actually think this start of the season could be quite interesting because we're 3 days out from game week 1, and there's quite a few high-owned players still that I've got no interest in. And a lot of the players now I know my team, if you compare it to other super engaged managers, will have quite high ownership. But the overall game, there's some quite low-owned players, like less than 20%. So it's quite interesting. But it doesn't play a part in my choices. It does make me think, though, like João Pedro's over 50% owned. I've not had him in any draft. What am I missing? Mm-hmm. But it's not going to make me pick him just because he's 50%.
The crowd's informed. That's the thing. The crowd is a lot more informed than it used to be. I know that at the beginning of the season, a lot of it may be picked on reactionary and maybe even last year's points. So it's probably a little bit less informed. But as it goes on, certainly it will become. And we know that obviously lots of content and everything feeds everything. But it's not just content. It's, information's accessible everywhere. Even like football tacticos are everywhere. Do you know what I mean? There's any sort of scope of football, it's just absolutely everywhere. Markets for it available. Rob T's tweets, everything. It's almost impossible to miss that stuff. And as much as some people might not like some of it, there has to be some sort of yardstick, I think, for us to base it on, because can we just go on our whims and believe that we are the football god and we know everything? You almost have to judge it against. We can, okay, fine.
But why keep asking all these rhetorical questions? The answer is always yes.
Okay, all right. Well, at the end, just ignore everything and do whatever you want. That's fine.
And that's the fourth lesson that you've got. No, good stuff, Luke. These are all. Yeah, I think that's the interesting bit is you have not played this way in previous seasons, and obviously you've struggled a bit. And since you have been playing this way, you've noticed a massive improvement in the way that you.
Well, I was
ranks
prepared to throw away seasons in a quest for what I believe would get me number one, which was being different. And I just think I was I was ill-informed until I met the right people. That's what I believed, and I think that that's not right.
Yep. Beautiful. Right. I thought this was going to be a shorter one. We're at 1 hour 47. Sorry, Andy. You knew this was going to be 2 hours, didn't you? You've hinted it quite a lot. I just want to have a quick look at our teams before we finish. Before we do that, just wanted to give a shout out to the BlackBox Patreon. Amazing work from Lee and Liv. So Liv is one of the. Well, she is the brains behind our predictions website, which is now up and running for the season. So Luke, Andy and I will be putting our predictions in every week. You can compete against us. You can compete against all the other Patreon members too. We've got a really cool website built where you can put in all your predictions. It will track your scores, track your outcomes, everything like that. And you can see one of our lovely winners on the bottom right of the screen holding the trophy for the Predictions League. There's also obviously a trophy for the main league as well. And then we'll be doing a meetup at some point in the year. There's a Discord channel. Lots of great things you can get involved in. So if you are interested in supporting the channel, getting involved in the BlackBox Patreon, just scan the QR code on the screen, or there's a link in the description below. And yeah, we'd love to have you over there. I think we're building a really nice sort of new community, which is hopefully good value for money, as well as obviously supporting everything we do. Right, teams. Let's start with mine, because mine is. I mean, we might as well just show yours side by side because they're so bloody similar. We'll do mine first. I don't think I'm a million miles away now. I think it's probably the Reinders spot, which is my biggest decision. I've got Sells in goal with Aït-Nouri, Milenkovic, Tarkowski, and Pedro Porro. Review pick, Luke. Pedro Porro. I don't particularly want him, but he features so highly on the models. I'm not going to risk it. He's one of the highest projected points scores, I think, across defence and midfield, especially within that price bracket. So I'm going with him.
If it doesn't work, it's bad variance. Remember. Exactly.
Yeah, I know. That's the theory. Salah, Palmer, Wirtz, and Reinders. I think Reinders might become Anderson after what we've talked about today, and I will blame you both entirely when Reinders scores back-to-back braces. Watkins and Pedro. I can't believe neither of you have Watkins in your team after all you've been saying today. even with my slight concern around his minutes, I just think those fixtures are just way too good to ignore. So he's in. And Andy, I don't agree with you on Pedro. I think I sort of feel like I know Pedro, and these first 3-4 weeks for him, he is going to be electric. I worry about him dipping throughout the season when he's in and out of the team, but I just don't have any worries about him in the first few weeks. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to start him. I've kind of got a full circle with him. I started with him in my first drafts and then didn't have him, and now he's back. The bench is awful, but they should all play Dubravka, King, Gu when he's fit, and Electronic Steve. It's not great bench. I'd rather one of those was a 4.5 defender, all that, but hopefully they all play at some point. But yeah, Luke, 4 at the back. I've gone to 4 at the back. I think I'm committing to it. It's happening.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value in defence. I think there's a world where you've only got one player on your defence, so in your bench, I should say.
Who's that? Steve.
Yeah,
Electronic Steve.
The most nailed for Game Week 1. Yeah, I mean, I really would like to pick Aït-Nouri. I do think that people in the informed world, I guess I want to say, are maybe sleeping on him a little bit because they just don't trust the minutes, and that's fair enough, right? But I think I'm
going for it. I've just decided he's the only left back they've got. Like, even for Pep. And the thing is, I don't think Pep likes his centre backs. So surely if he's going to play someone at left back, it's going to be Vardio. That means he's got to play another centre back that he doesn't even really like. So I just can't see any world in which Aït-Nouri. He looked brilliant pre-season as well, and in the Club World Cup, and he's exactly what they've needed in that position. I think one of the reasons they struggled so much, I mean, you know better than I do, but surely one of the reasons they struggled so much was because that left spot didn't have that energy going up and down that wing.
Well, if he's going to use the similar system, then we can see that whoever plays left back in that setup is like Gvardiol. Obviously scored a lot of goals and bombed forward from that position. Then even Nico O'Reilly, when he played that position, suddenly started turning into a goal scorer and crashing the box. And Aït-Nouri has been doing that's basically his game. He's like a fantastic dribbler with the ball. So yeah, I do really like Aït-Nouri. I'd like to be able to go. That's one of those ones again where it's like I am on the edge of reverting to the old me and really want to bring him in, but I'm probably not going to do it. And similar, I guess, with Reinders. And I can't really fault any of the other picks, to be honest. It's just the bench I'd be a little bit worried about. I don't know about Andy. What do you think? Because it could just be just Steve there. Maybe in a few weeks, like Dubravka will be playing and maybe Mark Gee will be playing, but I don't even know enough about King. I think he's certainly starting at the moment, but he's like 18, isn't he? To suggest that he's just going to play every week 90 minutes is probably a bit of a step up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say earlier when we were talking about Fulham, I think I saw some teams earlier with like a 4.5 midfielder. I don't mind it, but not if you've got Guiu as well. It feels like it's got to be one or the other. You're either in like a 3-4-3 or on like a 3. I know you're going 4 at the back. It's a bit different. The problem with Fulham is even Marco Silva's come out and said they need to make like 3 or 4 signings.
Yeah.
And they're going to be in attacking positions.
True.
And like I think Harry Wilson can play 10 as well. Smith Rowe, if he gets back to being fully fit, he can play in that position. So like King, I think is their Fulham fans can tell me I'm wrong. I think he's like their breakout young star that's coming through, a bit like Max Dowman at Arsenal and this Rio kid at Liverpool, etc. So there are like high hopes for him, but I mean I got no idea whether he's ready to play regular minutes this season. Maybe. But I just don't think I'd have him and Guiu because he's probably not going to start the season. He might never become their first choice number 9. Like, it's a bit of a worry. So, I mean, I know this is such a cliche thing to say. In fact, I've heard you say this before, so I don't worry about it. I look at that and feel like it doesn't have enough money spent in the 11 for the bench. Does that make sense?
Hey, that's very rude.
I mean, I can see where it is, Wirtz, Palmer, Salah and Watkins, but it just feels like it's not, I don't know. I would probably downgrade somebody, Wirtz and one of the defenders, I think.
Well, looking at your team, the obvious downgrade might be Milenkovic to Williams and then do King to Dewsbury Hall, right?
Yeah, something like that.
You know, because that's not, you would argue that's not I obviously would much rather have Milenkovic, but it's maybe not as big a change as like Wirtz to Gakpo, for example, where I think Wirtz is going to be the. I mean,
Forest are apparently in for another fullback, but I can't imagine they come into play straight away. I think Nico Williams is right.
It's Leif Davis they're looking to buy.
It would worry me a little bit, but I think by the time it becomes a problem, you're probably going to want to ship that Forest defender anyway. So I think it'd be okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is your team. We mentioned Nico Williams. He's in, but yeah, have a read out who you've got and let us know the thoughts.
Yeah. Sanchez in goal. I've not changed my bench keep. Well, I have now, but I just didn't send you the screenshot. It will be Dubravka. Sanchez, the only worry really is that Chelsea might buy another goalkeeper because they like buying players. But I just think his short and long-term fixtures are pretty good. He's been in my team for quite a while now. Back three, Tarkowski, Nico Williams, Pedro Porro. Porro is quite short-term. I'm going to go to Munoz from that position, either in game week 2 or 4.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying earlier. Like, because basically, like I said, I'm so scarred from what happened last season. I think everyone can agree, apart from the goalkeeper, the second goalkeeper, and Mark Guiu, every player in this team is absolutely nailed on to start every game they're fit and available for, pretty much. So I can have that luxury of doing Porro to Munoz early as a transfer, because unless I get an injury, I'm not going to be forced into any other move, and I will be patient with these picks. Once Bruno's in, he's in. Like, I'm not going to get rid of him, especially when Burnley's in game week 3. So I'm pretty happy. Tarkowski, I'm not 100% sure about. Like, it could be Murillo and Romero, like a double up potentially on Spurs, but I kind of hate that now I've said it out loud. I could just start with Munoz instead of Tarkowski. So there's options there, we'll see. But I think for defensive contributions, it looks pretty good. Palmer, Salah, Wirtz, Fernandes, and Anderson. Super boring. Palmer and Salah have been in since the start. Anderson was in my first draft. Wirtz and Watkins is basically the decision. I could drop Mateta down to Saar, Wirtz to Watkins, and I have a bit more money to play with. And then suddenly Tarkowski is Van Dijk. So I'm not completely set on Wirtz. I do really like Watkins. He feels like that pick where in 6 game weeks time I'm going to think, how did I not start with him? Because the fixtures are just so good, like the whole way through for 7 game weeks. So
I haven't considered him at all, and then all of a sudden I thought, no, do you know what? I want him. Like he's like number one. There's no way I'm starting the season without him.
I was in a stage where I went Watkins just because I didn't like any other forward. But like as soon as Mateta scored that penalty, I put him in. Because his minutes, like he only actually averaged 78 minutes per start last year, which is not great. But at the start of this season, they don't have Nketiah there. I just don't see a huge amount of rotation for him. And the penalties, he just looks like he's probably going to be ahead of Eze. Eze might leave anyway. So that's kind of why I went back to him. But like it could just be Sarr and Watkins instead of Wirtz and Mateta. And then Strand Larsen, because if I go to 6, it's Fulkrug or Barry or Thiago, and I just can't get excited really about any of them.
Watkins also is 78 minutes per start.
Is he?
Yep.
You see what I mean? He's a massive rotation risk.
Yeah. Even more now with the new boy in and Marlon can make his starts. It's a pretty solid team, isn't it, Luke? I mean, you're going to like it because it's like 3 players different to yours.
Don't even change the screenshot, mate.
I've changed it.
Oh, you have? Okay.
There you go.
Me and Andy somehow.
Oh, you got Tarkowski as well?
Yeah, I've had him in from the beginning. Me and Andy, basically, I don't know if you know this, but we pretty much somehow, without talking, end up with the same team like every year. Maybe like usually what happens is I'll have one more spicy pick than him that will either go mean I'll have a better season or a worse season.
You got 13 out of 15 the same. Is that right?
Luke screwed me over a couple of seasons ago though, because he told me he wasn't wildcarding 1 week and then he wildcarded, and I couldn't. I was priced out of it then. He absolutely smashed me that season.
Yeah, that was one of the few ones that went well for me. There's not. I don't want to repeat a lot of what Andy said because it's basically the exact same team. I think the only thing I'm not this high on Chelsea defence. I know that they've got the fixtures. I have my concerns about them just off the ball, and obviously they've lost Colwell now and stuff. And it's not that I don't think they'll keep more clean sheets than Brentford, because I certainly think they'll be fine and they'll keep maybe 1 or 2 in the opening few fixtures. It's more that. I think that I don't ever do well for clean sheets, and I just think there's a chance maybe they don't keep as many, and Keller will almost certainly get the saves if he's playing. So I'm just kind of playing that. And then
can I ask you a question?
Go on.
What if Kelleher, like he probably will be fine, but what if the manager puts some kind of doubt on him? Who are you going to move to? Because you're not going to risk it, right? There's no point.
No, I wouldn't risk it. I mean, at that point, I'd either go for Petrovic, probably, or I'd look to get Sanchez.
Yeah, you're going to do Murillo to Nico Williams.
Exactly, and that's the exact same team as you.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I'm a little bit tempted to go Sells, by the way. I wouldn't put it past Chelsea buying a keeper in the next 3 weeks.
I think Sells is obvious now. I was on that Colwell injury.
I quite like
that
the double
Colwell
up.
injury has done it
for a while. I know they've got the games, but I don't want to spend 5 million on a keeper.
He'll get found out
enough,
about Colwell. I'm sure he will. Colwell is so key to that defence.
Yeah. It's kind of boring, but it's kind of what the principles I said, right? I just think that, like Andy said, outside of something, an injury to one of these players, I'd hope that they'd play all the games. I'd hope to make not many transfers in the first few weeks, and then I can start to look at the fixture moves, which is what I want to do, rather than have to fix any problems. And that's the idea behind it.
Oh, you wait till Nori's 15 points against Wolves.
Yeah.
It's going to feel so sweet.
Exactly.
And then he won't play again for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Everyone brings him in.
Can I ask you another question?
Go on.
Is there anything that can happen tomorrow in the Spurs game to make you put Solanke in? Like if he starts and plays 80 minutes?
Probably
which is not going to happen.
because I already had, like, people won't believe me, but I'd already put Mateta in before I'd put Solanke in. I mean, maybe they do, because I've been on this channel saying how much I love Palace and how much I think they're going to start so well and do pretty well. But, you know, it just added that extra confirmation when he took that penalty for me as well. I mean, the reason, and I talked about it on my draft before, I actually had Sarr, who was my boy, who thinks he's going to do really well in that
can't
Anderson
believe
spot.
you don't have Sarr. I honestly.
But it's because of Thiago, right? Because if Thiago's 6 million, if he was playing and he was a good option, then I would upgrade Anderson to Sarr, and then I'd have like that extra money. But at the moment, I don't want to go. I can't go down from Thiago. I have to go up. And then where's the place you get the money from? He's like the only place I can really look at. The other ones maybe Wirtz. Like, I'm not quite as high as everyone else on Wirtz. I think that he'll be more assist heavy, but yeah, it's just like he's so close to Watkins in his expected outcome over these like 8-9 weeks, and he costs 0.5 less. So I might be trying to be too clever. Like, a lot of people in chat will be the opposite. They're like, where's Watkins? But trust me, I'm thinking that myself as well, but I don't think there's like enough in it for me to justify going for him over Mateta. I think they're close enough.
Are you not tempted to go Marmoush instead of Wirtz?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's another one I've looked at where maybe you can start with him and then move to, because I don't think Liverpool's opening three are all that. I know Bournemouth's probably a pretty good game, but then they've got Newcastle and Arsenal, right? And I know Newcastle in turmoil, but I don't think that's just like necessarily a walkover. I think Arsenal will be pretty tough. And I think there's also a world where Wirtz, I mean, he got stubbed early in the Charity Shield. I think that he is still the new player, and he is still playing in a position where Szoboszlai and other people can play. I don't think he's going to get 3 times 90. I think he'll probably come off around 80, and that could easily be the same for Marmoush, right? So you could take that gamble. And that is
he was fun to watch though in the Community Shield, Wirtz.
Oh, absolutely, he's fun to watch. But
he's just
if he's gonna
great player.
If he's only going to get sort of 5 points, I mean, only get 5 points. He's going to be a good pick and he's going to keep ticking along. But Marmoush certainly is a person you'd expect to score more goals, right? Even if he doesn't play as many minutes, I think you'd expect Marmoush to score more goals, and goals are generally more valuable. So I can see that as well, and maybe I'll do that. But for now, I'm just. I'll stick to my principle and be boring, and then probably what happens is I'll bring him in against Burnley, and then none of them will start.
You are both boring bastards. That's what I've learned from the last 10 minutes. Absolutely shocking.
I think you're going to see this team everywhere, because I just think that people with all the same information, because we're all boring these days, this will be close to the template.
Yep.
Nah, I don't think that's true at all, actually. I think
maybe in my circles that I talk to people that
Watkins and João Pedro are super popular. I think people will have a lot more money in forward line come game week 1. What I find is I kind of get like too fixated on the picks I've had for a while. So like now when I think about dropping Wirtz down, because I haven't considered any of those super midfielders for so long, I just find it hard to get like any of them. It's like I'm just picking one because I have to. So it's almost like, because I've had them now for a few weeks, they've got to just stay.
I know, that's exactly how I feel. But I've had Wirtz right from the start, and I took him out the other day, and I was like, ugh, no, I liked him there. I can't go back on that now. Yeah, I feel exactly the same.
For 2 million less, Sarr could score a lot more goals than Wirtz, couldn't he? I know that Wirtz will still get his points in other ways, but Sarr's basically a striker. And I think, am I spending 2 million to basically have a player that looks nice, is a bit like Kevin De Bruyne, but doesn't really return you the points? But
look at that.
Everyone else tells us different.
I remember the days when you tried to win
FPL. Burn.
If you put yourself into a nice little position where you get... Look at someone like Ben Crellin. People say, like, Ben Crellin will never win FPL, but he's in the top 10k like every single season. He just needs that little bit of extra luck. You know,
the trouble is, you try and win
3
FPL.
million if I try and win FPL.
Yeah, you try and win FPL, you finish 260k, and then everyone has a go at you. You can't win.
Exactly. And I've
do what Andy does.
People are hypocrites. Yeah, absolute hypocrites.
Yeah. Lovely stuff, guys. We've hit the 2-hour mark. Thank you both. I've really enjoyed it. Really good to have you both on doing this. Just quick shout out to Fantasy Football Scout. You can use the QR code on the screen to get 5% extra off. At the moment, we've got things like team reveals. You've got obviously all the members area tools, the fixture ticker, loads of great stuff going on. Amazing articles from Neil and the editorial team too. So, there's kind of no better place to get your information and things. Scan that QR code. There's a link in the description below as well. We've had 2 super chats, which I'm just going to take really quickly. This one isn't even a question. It literally just says Dubravka and Martinez goalkeeper. That doesn't sound great. Isn't Martinez, aren't they both not fit?
Well, Martinez is suspended game week 1.
I suspended. Okay, yeah, I definitely wouldn't go with those 2, as will be. I don't think there's another 4 million option. And Martinez is the same price as Sells and Sanchez, so I'd probably just pick one of those, if that is even the question. I'm not totally sure what it is. This was right at the start, so thank you for your patience, Emre. Which is more essential to you guys, having both Wirtz and Bruno, or giving up one of them to upgrade the defence with a couple of 5 million defenders? Yeah, would you rather have sort of 2 premium midfielders, Andy, and like a load of budget defenders, or would you spread the money around a little bit?
Yeah, it probably depends what defence is there. But like I see a lot of, well, maybe less so now compared to the start when it first came out, but a lot of like 4 or 5, 4.5 million defenders. And that always looks good from a value perspective, but I don't think it ever really works out. So if there's a choice between a couple of 5.5s or a defence full of 4.5s and maybe the odd 4, I'd downgrade one of them. Probably Wirtz.
Yeah, I knew you'd say that.
You knew that was coming.
I did. I mean, the 4-5 defenders look all right. Like I mentioned earlier, like with Richards, with Anderson, with Diouf, there are some decent ones. You can probably get away with it. But I really like the 5-5s. I really like the Tarkovskis and Rillos, the Milenkovic's, the Poros now. I'm still a bit reluctant to, but yeah, would you say the same, Luke? Probably downgrade?
Yeah, exactly the same. And unfortunately, probably works.
Yep. Cool. Well, that is it from us. I've promised Andy North, who is currently doing the Scoutcast, so we're actually rivals tonight, even though he's obviously a main man on this channel now. I've just posted the link to the Scoutcast. If you go over there, raid that channel, tell him I sent you. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. We've had about 1,600 people watching live, which is absolutely amazing. Don't forget to like the stream if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Check Andy out on Let's Talk FPL on Twitter, and obviously his YouTube page too. Boys, it's been an absolute pleasure bringing back the Scoutcast. OGs, Andy, hopefully we can have you back on another time. You enjoyed being back with Luke and I?
Loved it, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course you have. And Luke, a pleasure as always. And yeah, look out for your videos that will be dropping on Instagram soon.
Bye.
Wow, what a goodbye. Thanks everyone. See you next time.